All right. Happy New Year's, everybody. It's 2024, depending where you are in the world. Julia, it's still 2023 where you are and where I am for another 40 minutes. How's it going, sister?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm so looking forward to 2024. I'm excited.
Right? Like everything that's come out in 2023, it just feels like 2024, there's going to be so much more.
Yeah, we've major transit, like astrologically speaking. So the 2024 it's gonna be pretty intense, but it's gonna be like a lot of, you know, like you're gonna be seeing a lot of energy. A lot of people are gonna be stepping into their like purpose and stuff and technology, the advanced things that are going to happen technologically, like with AI and all those systems and stuff. So yeah, we're we're in for a pretty intense 2024.
Right, and just exactly that. And speaking of like transitioning energy and galactically and all of that, it's now 2024, and I did not once hear or see in 2023 the sun doing its magnetic pole reversal. And I thought it was supposed to do that, right? Every 11 years. 2001, it didn't do it. 2012, it didn't do it. And 11 years later, 2023, zero reporting of it. And it's now 2024. So I should try to actually bring up and find the Nassim Haramein clip of the white pulsar now that the sun might actually be.
There was like a huge like X5 solar flare that happened today.
Really? It seems like there's like multiple a week almost now. It's kind of crazy. So does that mean we're gonna have like interstellar light show for New Year's potentially, or it'll
Do
come
you
in on
see the Borealis from up there?
lots of times, yeah, if it's clear. Today, actually, though, we went into it's raining for some reason, middle of Canadian winter. The year ends and the new year starts with rain instead of snow right now, which is kind of sketchy because it means it's going to turn to freezing rain at some point, and then it's just a giant skating rink everywhere.
If you want, I could go while you pull that up. I could go over some of the transits that are happening in 2024.
Absolutely. Oh, and welcome, Solar Marshall. Sorry, brother. Didn't see
Yay!
you there.
Hey, what's up, man?
You know, I requested to talk to you.
How you doing, girl?
I was like, I want to
right?
talk to Solar Marshall.
How you doing?
Good. Happy New Year.
This is the second time I've celebrated the New Year. I was like waiting for Bernie around midnight, and my time. Yous are still your Pacific time, right, Julia? So you're
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It
you will
is
be
10:23.
It's 10:23. It's 1:23 here. Bernie, you are going on midnight in the next 40, right?
Yes, sir. Mountain time.
And so your mountain time. They just did Central Time. I was watching Leonard Skinner on the TV. I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen this in a while. That was country mountain. That was country time, or whatever they call it, Central Time. So it's all mixed up. But I've been through a couple. I was on a show earlier and we did England's, which was 5 hours ago or 6 hours ago already. But don't mind me.
You're like, this is my third New Year's.
Yeah, I mean, I got my glasses on. I'm all, I'm feeling great. So what's up? That's what he's want to talk. UFOs? What are we talking?
I wanted to talk to you about Dan Burisch.
Oh my God. Daniel Burisch. I used to talk to him on the phone. Did you know that?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to talk to you about it. Of like because of your assessment of it, of like some of the information that he did have, and just that whole. Yeah, I wanted to hear what you had to say.
Let me tell you about the interesting thing about Dan Burisch is this, man. This guy. Wow, why is my head crooked? Okay. Isn't it weird when you're on, but you're mirrored, like the opposite arms are moving? Dan Burisch. Yeah, I know. I have to go to my settings and do that because this this is really weird. This is my right. It's weird. I hate it when it's like out there because if I go to scratch my face, it looks like I'm on the wrong side. But check this out.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Weird.
It's like, well, that's not the right side of my face. It itches. And then it plays this game where it makes the other side of your face itch. But let me tell you a couple stories about Dan Burisch. First of all, back around 2011 or 2012, Dan Burisch told me on the phone, he said, listen, he goes, I'm going to disappear. And that's it after that. I'm like, yeah, okay. I've heard this bullshit before. Sure. Because he had a website, it was called Eagles Disobey. And then he had a website, it was called New Eagles Disobey. Each were forums. I should let you know that. He had a deep following, Dan Burisch did. And it wasn't about you. I'll tell you this. Wasn't about his stuff that supposedly happened at S4 and stuff like that. A lot of it was about he was into something called the Ganesh particle. And he was in the mountains of Nevada and maintained that he found this Ganesh particle. And you can look this up. It's spelled GNASH. This Ganesh particle, if I remember this correctly, it like glowed in the dark. That's why it's very interesting when I see that guy brings those the aliencarvings.com guy.
Mm-hmm.
You guys
Mike?
have one, okay?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Why is
so
all that shit glowing in the dark? Okay, well, Dan Burisch saw these crystals like glowing in the dark up in the mountains in Nevada when him and his wife Marcia McDowell were hiking. And he went and collected this stuff and started looking at it and stuff. And Dan, by trade, is a biologist, so he knows what he's doing, looking under microscopes and stuff like that. He went to SUNY University, and he also went to the University UNLV, the University of Las Vegas at Nevada or whatever, or the University of Nevada at Las Vegas or whatever. So he started studying these Ganesh particles, and what was really weird was he believes there was life being transferred once there was 750 nanometers of light put onto these Ganesh particles. There was stuff like jumping out of them, like life form, whatever you want to call it, jumping out of these Ganesh particles. It was very bizarre. He demonstrated this stuff, and I can actually show it. Let me see something once here. He was literally at Stanford University showing this stuff to the school, and they had him on, and he was there for 2 days showing this stuff. So hang on 1 second
It
here.
reminds me of the luciferase enzyme and the bioluminescence too.
Well, once you look at this, you need to take a look at it and think about what you're looking at, because I'll say this much. No matter what somebody thinks of Dan Burisch and his alien stories, these other stories may be real. This Ganesh particle and stuff like that. If someone doesn't believe his ET story, that's fine with me. But the other evidence he shows on camera at Stanford University, because even Jeremy was like, wow, how did he get in there if he faked it? There's all these professors sitting there watching him. Okay.
No, there's just some things that he said too that really resonated deeply with me.
Oh, okay. Like what? Ask or bring it up, please. I want to.
Of what he said when he was talking about when he was talking about when he was taking the samples and when he was talking like biological things of what they were testing on.
Oh, you're talking about he's taking the alien samples. Yes.
Yeah, what he had to say of his analysis on it. Gosh, there's an interview that he did. It's hard to find. I need to like find it and pull it up and like quote it. It's gotten kind of hard to find.
Well, let me ask you something. Can you look right now while I'm looking to see if you can find it? Because you know what's really crazy? I used to have all his stuff saved, and I just pulled what I used to have saved here, and the entire channel's gone. This is what's going on here. Yeah. The entire channel's gone.
And he grew up in Lakewood. He grew up, my father grew up in Downey. And I know that Boeing's right there. And then he had that experience at that baseball field that I'm very familiar with. That he said he was
UFO there with his grandfather.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, I know all about that. His wife's name is Marcia McDowell. However, like I can't even find it. She has a channel. It's called Dr. Marcia McDowell. It's not.
Can we find her and get in find her and?
Well, I know you know where they live now. They live in Henderson, Nevada, which is just due south of Las Vegas.
So he's still alive?
Oh yeah. Dan had
Rad.
Dan had some heart problems, and with those heart problems, he had a number of surgeries done years back, and that's when he dropped out of coming on YouTube and all that stuff because it was just too much to handle, and he even dropped out of the Eagles Disobey website and all that stuff because he could have passed away. He had major heart surgeries a number of times, and again, Dan's a guy that's never even drinking a beer or smoked a cigarette. He just
I'm so happy to hear he's alive, though.
Oh yeah, he's alive. But the weird thing is, back around 2012 or so, he just completely disappeared. Let me type his name in instead of his wife's name.
Yeah, and if you can bring something up on screen, I can let you share it. Just I'm having issues with my computer and internet lately. Just nothing but headaches. But
Julia, I can't believe the amount of stuff that's disappeared on Dan. I'm looking now. I'm shocked. Where is everything at?
Seriously. Wait, you gotta what do you gotta go through Onion?
Well, yeah, you know what, there's a Wayback Machine for YouTube. Do you know what the Wayback Machine is for YouTube, Bernie?
I do not. Jeremy does.
Here's the video with Dan. There's one.
I like the one where he's not in a hotel. It's like a gold kind of background. That's the one I really want to re-find. Okay. It's a man talking to him. It looks maybe like he's at a conference or at a hotel at a conference.
Boy, that happens a lot. That sounds like when he was in.
But it wasn't Carrie Cassidy. It wasn't the one with Carrie Cassidy.
Okay, he's been. I used to have all his stuff memorized, where he was at, where they were, and this and that. I literally pulled up a folder I had, and here we go. Look at this, Crane Ministries. Because here's only one video. Wow.
Yeah, let's play it.
His name also is Dr. Dan Crane. It's Dan Burisch, Dan Crane. You got to understand his name changed. It's an interesting story. He had gotten married before. Okay, I found Dr. Marcia McDowell's channel. We're on to something.
Was she related to MJ, the guy that worked the guy that was a part of Majestic?
Was she related to him?
Yeah.
She claims so. She claims that's how they met. Now, when you say there was something gold in the background, I have a feeling you're talking about this right here. Bernie, I'm going to take Bernie. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. I think you think Marcia is a guy. Hang on, because her hair is real.
You can play it or share screen, present, and play off your computer.
Just click the video, Bernie. It's easier if you click on it because I have a feeling it might be the right one.
I'm having issues with what
you
the heck?
Click it. Click on that, Julian. Tell me if that's the right video.
I'll try, but I might crash.
Okay, no, it's not that one. It's like lighting, like he in the background, but
okay. I thought you said a goldish background because that would be.
It's like closer up, but this one's probably good.
Here's something interesting. Here is his channel, his wife's channel, and there's a bunch of videos on here. So I'm going to post that for you to save. Save this. Okay. And I'm going to resave it because the fact is I typed it in and it didn't show up, which means they're shadow banned. They did get political at one point years back, way before the Trump stuff and everything. Although I see some stuff about Trump on here.
Which is a good point to everyone. Like whatever, from what I understand, if you want to save something, like get the links and put them like in a safekeeping, like a file and having the actual links. Like there's things that you think it's not popping up and searching, but if you have the actual link, you can still access it.
Yep. And that's what I do. And guess what? I'm sorry. I found the Caltech stuff. There's two videos of it. One's only 8 minutes. The other one's only 8 minutes. But guess what? It shows. I'm sorry. I said, what school did I say? I didn't say Caltech. I said
UNLV.
Stanford. I said Stanford. I said he played. No, this is where he gave a speech at. Here he is at Caltech. I'm going to send this to you because he doesn't talk about the aliens on here, but this is when he talks about this, where he thinks he found the beginning of life, which is that Ganesh particle thing. Hang on a minute. Here's part 1. And then part 2, you want to save this stuff.
Okay, I'm going to try to play it. Hopefully it works and my computer doesn't crash.
Yeah. Wait, do you want me to play it?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm having.
Yeah, and then I can keep searching. I can keep searching for stuff on here for what.
Okay, which one should I play first? The
I know
top one.
I know exactly what she's
Second
searching.
one, I think.
So I go to present,
Yes, ma'am.
and then I go to share screen
Yeah, it should give you a
for video file.
Here's the part 2. Here's the part 2 of them being at Caltech. Hang on a second. Let me turn my screen off because it's blinding me. Okay. All right. So I'm going to be
share. You hit share screen, and then it should give you options of like the browser tab that you have it open in.
Okay.
Oh, here's Dan at Caltech part 3. Okay, so we do have 3 parts. This is great that I even found this, because let me say something. He has been wiped from YouTube.
Well, we're going to bring him back today.
Well, there's been so many people that posted his stuff that when you go to the YouTube Wayback Machine, Jeremy knows how to find that crap. I'll be able to find everything I'm looking for, because she wants to know about she wants the good stuff where he dissected the aliens and stuff like that. And I'm into that too. There's so many interviews.
No, but I liked what he had to say about the what he found and a few other things.
Do you want to tell me what it was?
Well, I gotta find how which one and what he's saying in it, because
okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I go to. Okay,
and you say, can you describe where he was at again? Because I might.
He was in a hotel room. Like, it looked like a hotel room. It was pretty close up, and it was a man talking to him. Okay, can you guys see my screen of Dan?
Okay, hold on a minute here.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me see something's here. Okay, so you're saying, yeah, I see that right there. That's him and his old lady in the back of the hotel room. The guy that was talking to him, were they sitting like up on a stage and he was in a hotel?
No, it looked like it was a room. Like, it's much closer up, and there's bright lights on him, and he's like talking about how the bright lights are affecting him. Okay, do I play this one? Can you guys see me?
Was there a guy?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay.
Was there a guy asking him questions?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I know exactly what interview you're talking about. I'll find it. I know the guy's name and everything, and interviewed him. Yeah. That's a really good one. That's actually the best interview I've ever seen of Dan. And I will find it. Yeah,
Oh.
I will find it.
Do I need to adjust the volume, or
you want to forward that a little bit? As I say, I can't hear that.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're talking about Dan Burisch. Julia, we can, you and I was watching your show the other night. You had a guy on there. I was watching that last night. We were live. And I was watching it, and I was going to pop in. And I thought, I better not.
You should have.
And we should do a show sometime about Dan.
Yeah.
Because Dan doesn't get enough attention anymore, and he was very nice to me. We used to speak on the phone on Fridays. It was very interesting, and we became pretty tight. Like, I mean, he'd call me or I'd call him on Friday. It was amazing. And he was very nice to me. And I used to get pissed off if people would say anything about him, because there was no harm in the guy. He was very cool. And I would love to talk about Dan and love to go back over that stuff. My thing is, I wonder if we can get a hold of him.
Yeah. Oh my God, I would love that.
Because he's in Henderson, but like I said, those surgeries he had, Julia, we're talking 8 years ago, probably already, 2016-ish or so, 2015, 2016. I know he had a series of 2 or 3 of them that were very serious, because he had a major heart problem. His heart damn near went. I mean, and I felt bad. I was like, wow. And the last time I had talked to him, his daughter had disappeared, and I felt so bad for him. And then he had said he was going in and having surgery, and then I just hadn't spoke to him after that. And then I saw pictures of him. He had lost like 50 pounds. He had looked like he aged 20 years. And he had gotten off the internet because the internet was really bringing him down. And he had started something called Crane Ministries, which was interesting. I saw a video earlier. It said Crane Ministries, but it was from 2017. So I will find him, and that'll be amazing if we're responsible for bringing Dan back out. People want to hear the story about the aliens in S4. I do. I want to hear it again.
It's me too. For some reason, it wasn't playing the volume, Julia, so it loaded on mine. I'll try playing here for a minute.
I'm the worst at this kind of stuff.
I was gonna say, you can forward it. You might want to forward it a bit. just to hear what's being said there because there we go. Turn it up.
Difficulty hearing you, and you had some difficulty.
Oh,
You're
it's
not gonna,
just extremely low. That's all. Oh, that's why we couldn't hear
and
it.
they will never report you for playing
Really
this or anything
low.
like that. They don't. They're not the type of people who would ever do anything like that. I don't think you'd even get on YouTube.
Well, it's all.
He's actually pretty funny, Dan is. He's a genius. He is a he's a highly functioning autistic.
Wait, where are you at? How would you ever be able to go to Henderson and speak to him? Like make a trip out there with
If
me?
I would drive about 10 days, I'm in northern Alaska. No, I'm in Pennsylvania. So no, I did have his phone number before. If he remembers who I am, he'll talk. I guarantee he will. As soon as I say Dan from Pennsylvania, he has a biographical memory. He'll know.
Sweet.
I'll track him down. Play him talking at Caltech. It shows how darn smart he is, man.
There's
These are
no
all,
sound on any of these videos. It's crazy.
huh? Hold on.
My
There's
sound
no
is
sound.
all the way up on it.
Oh man, you know why? Hold on a minute. You know what? You know what's wrong with I bet that video? Listen, those videos all had songs at the beginning. He's very musical, and I bet you any amount of money just at the very beginning of the videos. I bet you any amount of money because of the music that was at the beginning of these videos
Well,
that
I'm
they
like
got rid of the
halfway
sound.
through one of the conversation ones, and it's like it's just so low you can't hear it.
Okay, hold on a minute here. Here's one with
This
alien talk.
Yeah.
Let's do this one. Hold on a minute here. Let's share this one because I don't think you're going to get any sound out of that. I'm going to have to
Shout out
find that
to
other
Happy.
means. Here's one where he talks about ETs and stuff, I think. So let me send that one to the StreamYard. Paste it right there, Bernie. That's off his wife's page. So if you can check that. Oh, you'll like this stuff, Bernie. It gets really interesting. There's no doubt about it. She knows.
Oh
She's
yeah,
looking at the smile on Julia's face. She's into it.
Dude, literally last weekend, like I was like, I need to talk to Solar Marshall. Like I was having like visions of like I need to talk to Solar about Dan.
The other night, I kind of got a vibe. I'm intuitive myself, I believe, not like you are, but I got a vibe that we were going to talk, and I was going to message. I think you were last night. You were live. You had some guy on, and I was going to bump in and say, hey, what's up and stuff, but I was so tired I didn't. I fell asleep, and you had
Been
said
like, I've been looking for you.
it's not hard to find me. All you got to do is ask Bernie where I'm at. Friday and Saturday nights I'm around because I work 2 to 10, but you're 3 hours behind, so that might work out. 10 o'clock for me is only 7 for you, so that could possibly work out. Yeah. Yeah.
Ultimately using
Here we go.
in the level 3 lab, in the BL3 lab, was almost exactly the same equipment that we had at the Groom Lake facility, the underground facility, before I was transported over to S4. And what that was an automatic train, if you will, where a slide would be brought in under it was a pressurized cell, and then would be oriented into a microscope, an electronic scope. We just called them autoscopes at the time, and then we would use keypads to do the adjustments and the analysis. We were wired up by that time. Well, we were in suits, and we were wired up with headgear for communication. What we had is a controlled access laboratory, controlled access facility with very little controlled access. And so the breakdown between no necessity for recirculation versus a necessity for recirculation for level 2 air recirculation. It was all set up for recirculation. Yet the material, the variety of material, was simply separated depending upon risk group 1 through 4. And what they were having us do at the time. This is before we started working on the 2,6 disubstituted purines, which are now only being used under trademarks like reversing and things like that. They wanted us to back engineer these cells. They said, we want to know what the evolution of this cell was. What's the history of this cell? And at the time, even up into 1994, there was extreme frustration. So we went from 91 into 94, banging our heads on the wall on how to accomplish this. We tried everything from micro dissection of cells. Of course, we're talking about internal versus external cytoplasm.
You might want to go into that.
Well, I will. But we were trying very crude techniques to arrest the cell's development, and we finally got to the point where we said we needed to know more.
And they weren't really forthcoming.
Well, they weren't forthcoming, but ultimately, in 1993, we were informed. In late 1993, we were informed that, in fact, we were dealing with an extraterrestrial, and that the extraterrestrial was housed inside of the same facility, about a half level down at the end of where we were standing.
Yeah, Dan.
I am
Yeah.
I am on the way back. Go to the Wayback Machine.
Should we tell people? Should we kind of paraphrase of like what he said happened to him? Like he was doing tissue samples on this extraterrestrial.
Sure.
And
What
he
was he
named
saying
him
there? I missed that one because I had my I was listening to something else. Go ahead.
but giving people an overview of what his one story was about how he named him jrod, and he would go and have to do these tissue samples on this extraterrestrial, and who told him that he was from thousands of years in the future, right?
25,000 years.
25.
Yeah.
Okay, 25,000 years in the future. And they got this bond, and he wasn't supposed to be like talking to him, but they're telepathically speaking, and that he would have to do tissue samples, right? Like,
Right.
and
he had several different types of J-rods. He had two P25 and I think Yeah, go ahead.
you broke up for a second, a little bit.
Okay.
And then they bonded, and like it's this amazing story. It's just the most amazing story. And that then they went to, huh?
They're in a clean sphere. Yep.
Yes, because they had to be in a a clean environment, and he's basically in like a hazmat suit type thing. And it was at S4, like a few stories down, but that then they went over to Iraq, and there was a Stargate that was opening I believe he said at the end of 2003, right? Or going into 2004. And it was and once that closed, it closed. And like he pushed this entrapment, like this guy's basically on a scooter.
Yep.
This extraterrestrial's like on this scooter, like a Segway. It sounded like a Segway, right? Huh?
Didn't he push it through?
Yes, and that he pushed it, and they drew the guns, but they couldn't shoot. But that they pulled out their guns, and that he pushed them through the portal, through the Stargate. It's the most amazing story. Like you have to hear it.
It is. You got to hear the whole story.
Okay, we got to find the story, and
So
I'm so chapped. Video playing right now doesn't have.
I'm on the Wayback Machine right now, so
I guarantee you he knows my family too. Like if you just said my last name, I guarantee you he knows my family, because like everyone around that area does, because of the bakery. The bakery got so big, and my last name is the name of the bakery.
Yeah, he grew up there.
We have to find him. Solar.
Yeah, we do. That's a mission for 2024.
So I was just, I wanted to give like a synopsis of this story.
The Wayback Machine, using that to find YouTube videos. I just found what I'm looking for on here. So give me a few minutes here. I may be able to find this.
Perfect.
Yeah, you can talk. Let me mute myself here.
This is some interesting video he's showing of like quartz and light or something at Caltech. a presentation by him, but
That's
for some
that's
reason
the
the system
Nash
doesn't
particle.
work.
That's the particle that he believes is the stem of life. It's an incredible story, dude. And it has to do with these rocks that were glowing.
Interesting that it's called Ganache too.
Yeah,
Crazy.
he named
Like
it that.
Ganesha.
He named it. Yeah, GNASH. He named it. It's pretty interesting stuff.
Like, why won't they let the sound work? Man, I so want to hear what's being said. My countdown is 10 minutes. My goodness. I
It's because
will
the
be
stuff
right back.
old, and they came in there because he had music playing in the background. I remember that. And who knows when they did that? But let me look.
Well, I could
I
go.
just have to make a phone call, so I will be
Yeah,
back
I mean, I
momentarily.
could go for the astrological forecast, guys, for 2024. We have Saturn. That's Saturn in Pisces. Saturn's going to briefly transit through Pisces before returning to Aquarius. So that transit can bring like a sense of spiritual growth, introspection, and focus on like emotional healing. Saturn in Aquarius is happening. That can bring a sense of responsibility and discipline to like your goals and societal structures. And the lunar nodes in Taurus. Wait. But the big thing is that Pluto is transiting through Aquarius. Pluto's gonna pummel us. Like it's gonna level, like it's here to like destroy like things that aren't working, like government wise. Like people are gonna be like revolting, like they've had it of like being pushed around. Like Pluto
No,
might be, huh?
is that true? I heard stuff about that.
Just Pluto's going in Aquarius. That's huge because like that's like huge power dynamics. Like it kind of Pluto destroys. Like it comes in and just levels things out. Like
Right.
it's super transformative. So societal structures, power dynamics, like collective consciousness, like what's not working. Like oh yeah, you believe this. Like Pluto comes in and like just puts an end to all that, like destroys what's not working, which is painful at first, but knowing like in order to rebuild, like we got to destroy what's not working. So knowing like as painful as that process is when things that no longer serve you is being vacuumed up or burned from your life, like knowing it'll get, it's for the greater good. But bringing like the fact that Pluto's going in Aquarius and uh Aquarius rules like technology and so AI, like the quick advancements in technology, like it's going to be rapid growth for technology. We're going to be seeing huge advanced stuff surfacing 2024. So yeah, it's about to get interesting. So did you find that Solar?
Yeah, I'm doing the filters. So hang on here. This is not easy.
I know that just listening to somebody like Dan, like it's one of the best stories I've ever heard. And you don't hear too often about anybody saying
I
that
used to
they
play it
had
over and over again. Go ahead. I haven't
what there's something about like what he's saying that resonates. Like when I was here, I heard you speaking about how he was a a probation officer or parole officer.
Yeah, he was.
And and
For a while.
and there were certain things that were like that he said that didn't check out, and I like didn't even get because he things that he said just resonated so deeply.
Yeah. Um, hang on.
And and
Hang
two of him talking about, remember he was talking about like how he saw a gray. He was somewhere, I think he was in the desert, and he was in like an apartment complex, and a gray was walking, and he's like, yeah, they walk like they just like they crap their pants.
Oh yeah, he did.
But from what I understand, these grays are like clones. They're like cloned to go and do work. So
Except they love strawberry ice cream. Yeah, that's one of the things, that they're like robotic clones and all this stuff. But I don't think that Dan ever. He said they were living creatures, and he had.
yeah, he never talked about cloning, but I felt like some of the work that he was doing on these things, I felt like they kept him like they didn't have him in the know that he was working on cloning things and developing things for clones, because I don't think he knew.
He was heartbroken at the treatment of the jrod, and he wanted the jrod out of there, and the jrod wanted to go home. The jrod's in Orion, and it's from there. I said there's P52s and P45s. A P45 is 45,000 years from the future. A P52 is 52,000 years from the future. Now, with that said, I believe J-Rod was a P52. Now, there's several different timelines that go different ways, and that's why you got the 45s and the 52s. It's very hard to explain.
And he always said too that that the looking glass technology, you cannot see past 2016.
That's right. You can't place it. And the whole thing with it, what's interesting was you knew about what happened over in Iraq. He claims that's one of the reasons we invaded Iraq was because of that.
They had the Stargates. Yeah.
And that's what more than one. There was like 4. And that one there, he pushed the J-Rod. He Kaela was the name of the J-Rod. He named it, remember?
And he talked about his wife, right? Yeah. And his children. And
yes, he had a wife prior to Marcia. And believe it or not, he met her when he was a parole officer. And it's a very interesting story.
I was talking about that. I was talking about J-Rod. He talked about his wife.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, why did you care about Dan Burisch's wife? But his story about the ET, they developed a relationship, and Dan could be at home, and there's Deborah, his ex-wife. Her face got burned.
Oh, that's right.
Was when the microscope blew up from the ganache particle. But at any rate, Dan could feel his pain. In other words, when they would prick the alien with a needle, he felt it. That's when he realized that they had become somewhat psychic brothers, if you want to call it that. And what he felt was the loneliness that this J-Rod felt. And he knew that the J-Rod wanted to go home. And anybody that was homesick could feel the same way, and he got him out of there to this freaking Stargate and pushed him through, just like you said, just like ET, pretty much. I think he was on a bicycle, right? Yeah.
It was what do you call it? It was like it sounded like
scooter,
a Segway. Like, those Segways, you stand on it, you can lean forward, you can do Segway tours. The way he described it, it was like he was on a Segway type cart type scooter thing, but it was like enclosed, kind of like, it sounded like the Pope. Like a Pope
so he didn't have to walk, because I know he was having trouble and stuff. He was very fragile. The story is so interesting. You got to remember, I've not even thought about this story in 10 years.
Fascinating.
Okay, but what I've thought about too, Solar, is that Samus Wanagich in his I have a couple people that are like, don't ever say his name. I'm so tired of you talking about Samus Wanagich. And I was like, I just said it. But in his book, who that
is.
Samus. Okay, well, in Samus Wanagich's book, there's these runes.
Pyramids.
There's these runes that are on the wall beneath the pyramid. And these symbols, and this one woman had it translated, and it's runic. And what it says is, okay, listen. So, she was very excited and amazed at the translation. This is from the symbols Thorn. Hold on, Thorn's work. She could not find Lean and Blum's book. Okay. This is what it says. When they translated it, it says the gateway is closed. We are at a standstill. We will have to act as warriors to defend and conquer until we can move again through the Stargate. That's what it was translated. So when you
That
think of that,
sounds
this is
so Stargate SG1.
this is beneath the Bosnian pyramid that's been translated. Who knows when it was written? But then you hear of this Stargate that Dan Burisch, like who, you know, I don't know of anybody else that's talked about. That you can, you know, that they have this type of credentials, you know,
Yeah.
So it's so important. We got to find him and talk to
Well,
him.
here's the thing. He talked about it. It's he has another last name too, Crane, Crain. You can search that name too. He talked about this stuff long time ago. The fact of the matter is he hasn't been on the internet since 2014 or 15 or so. So, and he wasn't talking about that at the time. What we need to do here, Bernie, is and Julia, is listen. You need to be able to go to the Wayback Machine and figure out how to search YouTube videos on now. Now, Jeremy knows how to do that. I just did it and pulled up some stuff. It says I found eight new videos, right? Now, when I click on that, okay, there is some Dan Burisch stuff. Okay, now eight sounds promising, but there used to be 800. Okay, it's got me a little worried. Should be able to find that stuff. MJ12 is another thing that pops up when it comes to Dan. There's MJ12, all kind of stuff.
Oh, I bet on Rumble. I bet you there's something on Rumble. I haven't even checked Rumble.
Oh, you know where else we could look at? What is the video site? I believe it begins with a V. It's Vimeo. Vimeo used to have all kinds of Dan Burisch stuff. Hang on here.
Yes, Vimeo is actual like treasure trove for sure. My apologies. I might have accidentally just deleted KB's comments. It's so annoying trying to run live stream, and then when you go on your cell phone, and it just deletes people all the time by accident. And my apologies if I deleted your comments and it wasn't you deleting your own comments. Anywho,
so what is ClickUp?
It's BURISCH. The guy in the chat, rough stock.
What happened to Vimeo, dude? What? Okay. Oh, here we are. I was gonna say that's not what I'm looking for. Okay, here. Hold on. Okay, let me see if I can find Dan on here.
let's see if I can pull up Vimeo without freezing.
Project Looking Glass. Here's the Caltech stuff. I wonder if it plays the sound on here. Oh yeah, there. She's talking plenty loud on here with the Caltech stuff, at least on Vimeo. Here we go. If you want to just test to see if it works, and the video is clearer too. But I want to see the alien stuff. You know what I mean? Looking Glass.
We all do.
Part 2. Here's Project Looking Glass again. Oh, here he is talking. And this is very short, but here's something that's interesting. Man, I've got a cold still. I can't believe this is my 3rd week.
Oh yeah, I can hear the sound
I
now.
had COVID, remember? Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta go back to work in a couple of days. Dude, I'm lousy. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't go anywhere. I'm just lousy, dude. I'm pretty shocked that I didn't stay in bed. What's that?
Sending you energy and healing for 2024 to overcome this new round of whatever COVID's actually
just out of nowhere, my head got all stuffed up. Now, hey, that last video I just sent you that ends in 460, pull that up and share that. That's Dan, and that's him talking about Project Looking Glass for about 4 minutes. And it's a nice video. None of the school stuff is, all the school stuff has the, let me see, Caltech. That's all there due to the fact that, oh, see, there's the music he deleted it for on YouTube.
The position of the rings, their orientation, the energy running through them, position of the barrel, etc. Because you can raise the barrel up on an armature inside the center of it. All come into play as if you have an onion with the various layers of the onion. As you move through the different energy levels, you also move through the different layers, so you get different bits of information. Now imagine an almost infinite number of layers overlain in comparison to the positions of the rings, and an almost infinite amount of energy that you can add or subtract, tuning it up, tuning it down.
Well, it sounds
Instead of going up by 1 hertz or by 2 hertz, maybe by a thousandth of a hertz, up and
Okay,
down.
to
The
close
technology is not
down-
being used at all right now.
okay, but the reason it's not used now is because of where we're going into the galactic, the plane of the.
Yeah. As of about 2017, I would expect probably that all of these little pieces of equipment will probably all get reassembled. Yeah.
Turned back on.
Oh, sure.
2017. That's quite a while.
2016, 2017.
Oh, not until then.
Probably not. The so-called cycle of catastrophe or season of catastrophe of Falconelli, the time period from, right around 1992 to right around 2012, right around that area. While we will have passed 2012, we really ought to get through the entire cycle, which is about 1980 to about 2016, to feel confident that the interpretation from the timeline from the future about their own catastrophe is not off by a few years. We're talking about 45,000 years or 52,000 years respectively. We have difficulty understanding what happened 2,000 years ago. And we're talking about 50,000 years here. So it's very wise for them to wait.
The looking glasses are now decommissioned, but also the Stargate technology.
Yeah, they're decommissioned, and the Stargates and the looking glasses, I'm sure they're all in their little mothballed containers and all of that. And they have been separated. The 3 components of each have been separated and moved to different power structures, diplomatic and military authorities in the world. And we're talking about the EU specifically, the UN and NATO. Those are in specific control of one of the 3 components each.
Okay, so basically what I gathered from this is that there's a floor in one of the facilities in Area 51 called Alice's Floor, and that it has a stuffed white rabbit permanently mounted above the entrance to the Project Looking Glass room. On the floor in Area 51 exists a jump room, which utilizes an Einstein-Rosen bridge, a Stargate, and a looking glass device. And he also spoke of a yellow cube, which was given to us by the Orions, which seems to work also like the looking glass, and that it shows future probable timelines. This floor is the second level of Building 4, or Level 4-2, which I find particularly interesting because famously in the 1979 novel A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, at the end, spoiler alert, the answer to life, universe, and everything around it stated to be 42. Obviously, it's a joke, nonsensical, simplistic answer to the most complex question in the history of time. But yet, here's supposedly a floor in Area 51 that has figured out how to allow people to.
Oh my God, I love this. I love this. You know what's interesting is at Sacramento Airport, I was coming down and there was a huge, enormous red rabbit, like 3 stories high. And I thought of Dan Burisch, the big rabbit there.
Yeah, because he has that on his stuff, on his pages.
Well, he talked about how it's there, like the rabbit.
Yep. Yeah, he's into... I really don't understand. You go to the Wayback Machine, right? Click on YouTube.
What's the Wayback Machine?
That's to search stuff that's been deleted from YouTube. Even if something's deleted, it's there. It's there.
I can bring back my whole deleted channel.
I put the Rumble. I put the Rumble link for what I found on Rumble in the chat.
I mean, me and Jeremy have been using this for a long time, and I seen him use it the other day when we were all online. He found something right away. Forget what the heck it was, and sure enough, it came right through. I'm like, wow, it's still working. So I'm there. That way I can find all Dan's old stuff. What I'm gonna have to do is start copying all of it and downloading it if I can find it. I mean, I can't. I'm having trouble. I never had trouble like this, man. So I'm going to delete where I'm at, and I'm going to go to I'm going to do a search on finding deleted YouTube videos. Well, there it shows right away, the Wayback Machine, Internet Archive. And then it lets you choose dates. And what I would do is choose probably 2007 to 2016, just to be safe. And it'll all be in there, man. Bothers me that I can't use it like I once did. Wayback, hold on here. Wayback Machine. There we go. Well, there it is. I think I know what I did wrong. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, waybackmachine.org. Okay. Yes, there's what I wanted. Okay. All right. Web pages for starters. Yeah, I can't believe that all Dan stuff's going from YouTube. There used to be an incredible amount of stuff on Dan, and it's all gone. It's all
That's
gone.
usually a sign that there's some truth to it when it gets expunged.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's all gone, and I just am like, you got to be kidding me. I mean,
I feel like there's definitely a jump room in El Segundo. Like I sense it. And then, you know, Dark Star had worked with at a private defense contracting place, and his coworker, they were working on drones and like underwater drones. And anyways, he said he worked on a jump room in El Segundo that Raytheon had. And he's like, hell yeah, that exists.
Have you ever? Okay, the jump rooms are really interesting. There used to be a jump room that supposedly took you 30 floors below Area 51. The one jump room, there were several of them. A lot of them were located in colleges. Have you ever heard of the? Oh man, what is his name? It's been
Andrew
a while.
Basiago?
Yes. The attorney. He's the main jump room guy. What do you think of him?
Dude, he's one of the him and Osmanagich were supposed to be speaking at this conference, and so I was like, oh my god. So when it was like, hey, do you want to speak there? I was like, absolutely. I was geeking out because I wanted to meet Osmanagich and Basiago, because everything Basiago said, it really, you know, hit. They say when people speak truth, you hear it in the voice. Like it's not even necessary. Right. Sometimes
he doesn't
what they're
seem
saying,
like he's lying to me
there's
either.
Certain voice, like literally, the DNA hears the sound and the sound resonates. Like it literally hit, like you resonate with it on a DNA level.
Yeah.
And so, and when Basiago spoke and Osmanagich, like it hit hard. So I was like, you know, I gotta. I want to hear more, but and that's the thing. And I've talked about this before on BurnEye show and stuff, where all these different people, it's getting harder and harder to find it. But these testimonials of these people that are like, look, their parents was part of a project, and they have to, it seems to because I'm seeing this pattern where there's someone in a project, a military project, and in order to access these jump rooms or these portals or these wormholes, they have to hold the hand of a child, and the child.
They're all young when they start out.
And so using it is a key, you know. So Andrew Basiago, him coming out.
His dark materials, literally, they're using the children to get the dust to open the portals between worlds.
CERN actually had an ad. Okay, stay with me. CERN had an ad a long time. You could pull it up. You could probably find it. It was like a commercial, and it was like almost like a freaking 1990s like cartoon style, like the way that the commercial was, and it is a school bus of children. And like the school bus is like falls. It's really, you're like, what? But I thought about it. Like if you traumatize kids to do a certain thing, if you get to a certain level where say the wormholes are closed, like in Osmanagich's thing, where it's like the Stargates are closed, like and things got shut off and a lot of beings were trapped here and closed. They can no longer jump and live freely and manipulate, you know, and do what they used to do recklessly or whatever. And so utilizing like traumatizing children is a place and time that opens up a portal to use that trauma to ignite like a place and time to jump to through that emotion. You could probably do it through love as well, but how you can't get a kid to fall in love with you. You know what I mean? Like, or just getting anybody to fall in love with you. So
Right.
like igniting of that being, I don't know if this is coming across right.
I understand what you're trying to get at. It's very difficult.
Oh, definitely.
But the
100%.
wormhole, the fact that he was in Long Island and he has held his father's hand, and then they came
Chicago.
up out of underneath a courthouse in New Mexico. So
Yes.
this could be. So I feel like there's wormholes, yes, there's stargates, but there's also like a way of traveling where the way inner Earth is. It's almost like a slide where it's like
Yeah.
you get from the way time and space bends at certain points, like chutes and ladders.
Wow, I found this thing explaining how to use the Wayback Machine Internet Archive on YouTube, believe it or not.
Amazing.
And it's 21 minutes. Oh my
Oh
God.
dear. What have I been loading? I've found a few things that I've
Oh,
been
did you? Well, I'm
looking
gonna send this
for.
to. I'm gonna put this in the thing so both of these can take a look at this and see if we can come up with how to use this a little bit quicker, because I want to see some Dan Burisch action now. There it is
Right.
down there.
You guys have beyond piqued my interest.
Oh, this
I
is
want to
great
get
stuff. You have no
me
idea.
some room action.
I just can't believe that his stuff is not out there anymore, because I used to watch it all the time. It's just nuts. I never thought it would be gone, I guess. How stupid of me.
They've expunged anything worthwhile.
I will go to Henderson. Like, honestly, you get a hold of him, I will drop everything and
I
drive
bet
out
he
there.
still lives in the condos he was at before. I bet you. He's the type of guy that'll stay there forever. Him and Marcia live in these condos
Okay,
now.
so
Marcia is older than him, and they're not spring chickens anymore. I'm just sitting there trying to think. She would be 70-ish, and Dan would be.
I need to send out like a telepathic, like I need to do a deep meditation of like putting that out.
Well,
Of,
that's
like,
what I mean. Do that because they're both him mostly. He's obviously psychic and all that stuff because he communicated with the jrod through his eyeballs. Remember that the jrod and him never physically spoke. It was through the eyes. You know what I mean?
Well, that's
yeah,
what I
that's
talk about
amazing.
too, of how like there's photons that are emitted through the eyes. Like,
Well, yep. Remember the first time that Dan Burisch had fallen down and the jrod had fell on top of him and put his hands on his shoulders and looked at him and just sent an incredible amount of information into Dan's eyes. Yeah, he did when they fell in the clean sphere. Clean sphere was a level 5. It was a level 5. What do you call that laboratory? As far as like biological laboratory and stuff like that. No disease could ever get out of it and stuff like that. They didn't know what they were they didn't know what they were dealing with an extraterrestrial and stuff like that. They just didn't know, because even though the jrod had been there, and I think he may have been from the. Don't quote me on this. I'm trying to think of what. Yeah, I think he came from the Azteca crash in '49. He had been there that long. He had been here that long and couldn't leave because they had no way of getting him back. And he had been here for quite a long time. That ET. Imagine how homesick he was. And Dan got him out of here.
All right, so I'm gonna play this clip right here. It's this video. It's 11 years old on this YouTube channel.
All his stuff's going to be at least that old, 10 or 11. Okay, what do you got?
This is Nassim Haramein and Klaus Donna coming forward with pretty much identical artifacts to what Mike at Alien Carvings has.
Oh, let's see this. I'm interested in that too. Because
jemals
that is,
gehört
I
habe,
don't,
war
I
von
just, all
Röhring,
that stuff that
dem
guy
russischen
found
Forscher,
has
der gesagt
incredible.
hat, wer seine Vergangenheit nicht kennt, kann über seine Zukunft nicht
It's gonna be
sprechen.
worth a
Und
fortune.
viele dieser
I wanna
Objekte
track
sollten
down
wir
the
sehr
original
viel
location.
genauer anschauen. Und jetzt, um die Erklärung zu geben, da ich eben, wie gesagt, vorhin schon kein Wissenschaftler bin, möchte ich Nassim bitten, dass er zu den folgenden Fotos, die ich ihm zur Verfügung gestellt habe, einige Erklärungen geben kann. Bitte, please, Nassim, can you explain these photos?
Thank you. Thank you. So Klaus came to me with these pictures a few months ago and kind of threw me for a loop. I was just amazed to find these pictures. These pieces, they are the first pieces I've seen in archaeology that so descriptively seem... Everybody understand English? Yes. Is there people that have a hard time with English?
Nassim ich habe vor einigen Monaten, wir haben uns ja schon kennengelernt bei einem Kongress, beim Nexus-Kongress letztes Jahr in Australien. Und ich war begeistert von Nassim und er war wieder begeistert von meiner Arbeit. Und so kommt man eben zusammen. Und ich war vor allem glücklich, endlich einmal auch mit einem Top-Wissenschaftler Informationen austauschen zu können. Und ich bin der Meinung, wenn man Informationen gibt, dann kann man auch Informationen erhalten. Und wie ich Nassim die Fotos geschickt habe, habe ich ihn 2 Tage später angerufen und habe ihn gefragt, Nassim, hast du dir die Bilder angeschaut? Sagt er, welche Bilder? Sage ich, du bist ein guter Freund, ich habe dir Bilder geschickt. Habe ich gesagt, schau einmal nach. Dann hat er gesagt, ja, wait a minute, hat nachgeschaut. Dann hat er 3 Minuten nur mehr gesagt, oh my God. Oh my God. Und ich habe gelacht, weil ich gewusst habe, wie ich die Bilder gesehen habe, habe ich gleich gewusst, da muss ich Nassim fragen, weil das geht genau in seine wissenschaftliche Theorie.
So, you know, here in this piece, for instance, first of all, the piece look very much like the vehicle that is portrayed on it. So the
Das
piece
Objekt
itself
selbst schaut aus wie ein UFO.
and the object is obviously arriving in the solar system. We see planets around it. The sun here, it's flaring quite strongly.
Das Objekt, das man hier sieht, was könnte ein UFO sein, kommt in das Sonnensystem und man sieht die Sonneneruptionen, man sieht die Planeten im Umfeld.
And, you know, this is very, very distinct physics that we know of. This is very much a description of what we call a wormhole in physics, which is a consequence of Einstein field equations.
Was man hier rechts sieht, ist eine wissenschaftlich bewiesene Sache, ist ein Wurmloch und geht in die Einstein, in what?
Field equations? Field equations?
In die Einstein-Feld. Okay.
Yes, and that was first worked out by John Wheeler. And, you know, what's really remarkable here, first of all, you know, these pieces, usually in many of the pieces that Klaus and I have been looking at for some 20 years or 25 years, you know, there's a certain amount of interpretation that has to be done, a certain amount of decoding.
In den letzten Jahren bei Objekten von mir, bei Objekten, die Nassim recherchiert hat, wird viel hineininterpretiert. Mach du es, du bist besser in Englisch, weil ich bin voll im
You're doing great. You're doing great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So basically, you know, usually there's a certain amount of interpretation that has to happen, but here there's no interpretation needed. It's pretty clear. This is obviously a spaceship that is coming out of what we call a wormhole. And what was really exciting for me is that, you know, in standard physics, when we came up with the mathematic for a wormhole in standard physics,
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
hier braucht man nicht viel erklären. Man hat hier das UFO, man hat das Wurmloch. Das UFO kommt aus dem Wurmloch heraus.
Yeah, and in standard physics,
Und in der klassischen Physik,
the wormhole mouth is billions and billions of times smaller than an atom.
der Ausgang des Wurmlochs ist millionenfach kleiner, smaller than,
An atom.
als ein Atom.
Yeah. And so it's conceptually impossible to travel through wormholes.
Darum sagt die Wissenschaft, ist es unmöglich, durch ein Wurmloch zu reisen.
But there is one possibility, and that is that spin at high velocity can open the mouth of a wormhole.
Ja, jetzt gehst du aber her.
Come on. Weil, yes,
Ja, ich kann nicht so gut.
Weil bei der Wissenschaft lacht es bei mir aus.
Timo. Ja,
So there's a possibility.
ja, durch die Drehung öffnet sich das. Durch die Drehung öffnet sich das Wurmloch, wird größer.
But that possibility is only possible in the physics of spin in Einstein field equation, which is something I put in to Einstein field equation.
Thank you. Es ist nur möglich über diese einsteinische Feldgleichung. Ne? Yes, please, come on. Very nice.
Super.
We know each other. No problem.
Thank you.
Okay, also durch die, okay. Dadurch, dass Nassim halt den Spin reingebracht hat in diese einsteinischen Feldgleichungen, ist es möglich, dass sich das halt öffnet.
Entschuldigung. Hat das jetzt jeder verstanden oder soll ich es nochmal wiederholen? Okay.
Ja.
Okay. And so basically here you can see that the wormhole is spinning and that is opening a mouth for the spaceship to come out.
Man kann halt sehen, dass an der einen Seite das Wurmloch klein ist und sich immer weiter erweitert und dann im Endeffekt das UFO rauskommen kann.
You want to go to the next?
Ja.
So here we have an even more amazing piece. And you know, you are all some of the first ones to
That's
see these.
exactly like that, guys.
Also noch ein beeindruckendes Bild und wir
Exactly like
sind
Mike.
der Ersten, die das sehen.
Where'd you find
Yes.
this at, Vern?
And you can see again we have a solar system. Here is a planet with an atmosphere.
Das Sonnensystem und der Ring, den er da gezeigt hat, ist ein Planet mit einer Atmosphäre.
And this planet with an atmosphere must be the Earth. We can assume it's the Earth, but it's definitely a planet with an atmosphere. There's a ship here and a ship here.
Ja, wir nehmen an, dass es die Erde ist, weil es eine Atmosphäre hat und man sieht dann halt diese Schiffe, die Richtung Erde, weil wir es annehmen gehen.
And there's a nice little blow up of what's inside the dome of the ship.
Ja, wie so eine Explosionszeichnung, also das, was innen drin ist, zeigt dann da oben halt
In case you're confused about what it is. And this is as well, you can see the steps here, typical of, pyramidal step pyramids.
Ja, man sieht da halt diese Streifen, das sieht aus wie eine Treppe und das erinnert eben an diese Stufenpyramiden, die man überall findet.
And here we can see that this ship is following a comet that is coming at the Earth.
Da kann man annehmen, dass das UFO im Prinzip einem Kometen folgt, der auf die Erde zusteuert.
Or at least at the planet that's here. And you can see that this UFO, right, which you can see is moving at high velocity, is doing something to push the comet.
Also wenn man sich das UFO im Endeffekt anguckt, dann kann man annehmen, dass diese Streifen von unten eine Bewegung mit einer hohen Geschwindigkeit ist und dass es eine Interaktion zwischen dem Kometen und dem UFO gibt.
So this could be a representation of an event either in our past or in our future.
Ja, im Endeffekt muss man annehmen, dass es eine Repräsentation ist von irgendeinem Event, das entweder in der Vergangenheit gelegen hat oder in der Zukunft.
Hey, Julia, check the video. I'm getting ready to drop in the chat over here on the right.
And,
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So a very interesting piece as well.
May I say here something?
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, you have a mic.
Ja, sorry. Von dieser Darstellung gibt es einige gravierte Steine, wo man einen
Dude, that's it. You found it.
Raumfahrer,
Holy
könnte man
moly.
sagen,
Wow.
wo man den sieht.
I love you.
Und
Thank you. You're the
wenn ich
best.
die ersten Bilder angeschaut habe und
it's really
mehrere
clear,
dieser
very
Darstellungen
nice.
gesehen habe, habe ich
I'm gonna
gesagt,
find more.
Gott sei Dank hält der die linke Hand hoch, weil wenn er die rechte hochhalten würde, dann hätte er ein Problem mit Wiederbetätigung in Wien, wenn ich die Stücke in die Ausstellung bringe.
By the way,
Weiß man
Okay.
nicht. Wir haben
I'm
noch
so
keine
excited.
Altersdatierung
You
Stein.
just made my New
Stein kann
Year's.
man nicht
Dan
altersdatieren. Das ist
Burisch's
das einzige
IQ
Problem.
was measured somewhere between
So-
180 and 200.
Zentralamerika.
So,
I believe it.
so if here you have, it, you know, you shouldn't be recording this. No recording. Okay, so
Oh, they shouldn't have been
Okay,
recording that. but
Nassim,
they
you little
did.
gatekeeper.
They
What's
did.
going on?
But so this is another one also looking pretty identical to the style of what Mike has in his collection. And there's a longer version that has many, many more that are identical to Mike's included in that. But without further ado, let's play what Julia was hoping for.
Haha, this would be wild. People are gonna be blown away.
I
Happy
love
New
you
Year.
guys.
He was
Yes.
so up there.
Best night ever. Thanks, guys.
He was so
Watch part.
young. Wow.
Okay, let's
Probably
hit
only
play.
about 34 or 35 there, I bet you.
You gotta be 40.
All right. How ancient? Sumerian.
Very smart.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Julia, what do you think? Hey, thanks, man.
This is the best way to bring in the new year.
Yeah,
I'm so glad to enjoy it with all of you guys.
this is great. I'm glad to. I'm happy.
And likewise, Happy New Year.
It's been a while. I love watching this story. I love it.
Yeah, I just prefer it be more of a conversation rather than a. The other room to the Papoose Mountain facility, probably being United States Navy. My cover positions here in Las Vegas, which made me look like a good old-fashioned Joe. In fact, I had some police experience at the late 80s. You're probably centering your question around the work for the government. In 1986, I was approached while working as an undergraduate student in Dr. Bert Bell Barbero's office, in his parasitology laboratory, to be exact. I was looking through a scope at the time. Three gentlemen walked into the laboratory, closed the door behind them. There was 2 uniforms and a suit that were present. Both of the uniforms I would make as most probably being United States Navy. My memory of that one event's kind of hazy after seeing all of the suits and uniforms and whatnot. We spoke for a while. They asked me if I was interested in seeing the world and the like. I told them I, in fact, was. We went through several interview processes, not unlike this, and reviewed my background. I went through several background investigations. Finally, starting up 90-91 timeframe, I was cleared for working past groom to the Papoose Mountain facility. That place that doesn't exist, about 90 miles north of here, the nowhere place. That's how I came to work there. My original assignment was at the Groom Lake facility to review histopathology slides. And I went through nearly a year's testing and then was basically let loose for a year, and I heard no contact from them. After that, I was brought back in and shown some higher grade slides of unknown origin. Following that, I was introduced into a working group and subsequently brought into the Papoose facility, the Site 4 facility. We worked for well over a year on slides of unknown origin. After I took a minimum leadership position under several of the other biologists who were already present, most of which are now deceased. You know the names of those individuals. I was then introduced into the level 4-5 facility, and the 4-5 coded for 9. You're again aware, we covered this in ancient history. And so what we did is introduce the new members, myself amongst them, into the clean sphere area, and we were eventually shown the subject for which we were examining the slides. The slides were unusual in that they were in pressurized cells, and they were reviewed by us on a conveyor with a completely automatic microscope. We weren't touching anything. We'd give verbal commands. At the second instance, we were finally allowed to have a VRML, like keyboard, for examining the slides. And I digressed, but then working with the jrod itself in the ambassadorial suite or the clean sphere suite.
Now, was this under this Project Aquarius?
Yes, yes. Initially, I was assigned as a working member of Project Aquarius. Then finally, I was made an assistant working group leader. And then mysteriously, after one meeting with the jrod, I was asked to take the working group leader position. I didn't find out why I was asked to take the working group leader position until, well, within this last year. I never understood it because Stephen was older than I. He was my senior, not only in ability, but in age. And I would have never figured being advanced above an individual like that in ranking within a working group. And in fact, I never considered myself above him. We worked together. The Q94 document that you have in your possession was co-authored. My name went on there as the primary investigator because I was the working group leader. But in fact, he and I were both involved in the authoring of that document.
Oh. Okay. Now, could you explain briefly what you were briefed on who and or what jrod was?
Initially, I was briefed that jrod was an alien, specifically from the reticulum system, to reticulum 4. I had no idea the truth. Yes, from 2 reticulum 4 now, but I had no idea the truth of how they came to be. As I said to you before, I have never met an alien, but I have met an extraterrestrial. I found out subsequent to interactions with the jrod. And again, they have personal names. The term jrod simply means 15, which was a basing name for where they're located, the number of light years from our location.
Yeah,
So
I don't believe that part.
names,
I don't believe in light years.
And they identified through the Sigma protocols, the linguistic protocols, with a rod symbol, which was an inertia symbol, and the letter J. And in fact, that was a combination of Mayan and Egyptian numerology having to do with a rod and a J, meaning 10 and 5 for 15.
Ooh.
By the way, he doesn't ever trip up if he's bullshitting.
876 Charlie, from what I've been told. Now, he did not specifically tell me that was the location, but the number 15 was mentioned.
I watched
They don't
him
call it
for a long
apparently
time.
Greece 876, whatever.
Yeah, I think he was influenced of thinking.
I mean, how did he, 15 light years away?
He crashed in 63, from what I understand,
Okay.
outside of Kingman.
Yep, the Kingman,
Kingman,
Arizona. That's what I said.
They're was a problem involving his physiology and his biophysiological communication with the craft went wrong. And of course, he's ill, as we know, with the MGUS and the paraprotein associated problems.
You tinker so much with the genetics.
And how was he? Was he transported immediately from that crash site to the S4 facility? And how is
that I don't know. That
He
I
probably
don't know.
needed their help. He probably wasn't in good shape to begin with.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I believe he and associates were transferred.
He's like, I'm a clone from 20,000 years ago. I need an upgrade.
Yeah,
they
they call them, oh darn it, they call him the
and
kid.
an associate to, I believe, Los Alamos.
You'll hear him talk about it.
I have no independent verification of where the associate went, though. All I can say is that he was there.
God, I'm so happy that you found this. This
Wow.
makes me so happy.
Oh, there's other interviews.
Well, there was not a general procedure. There was a very specific procedure.
very specific? Okay.
After we would be brought in with our helper biologists, there was controlling helper biologists, those in the gallery, and then the introduction specialist, which was
reports of a 7.4 earthquake in Japan.
We entered the clean sphere through a large series of protocols involving pressurization and compartmentalization, no pun intended, until finally we were pressurized in fully encapsulated a TEC, a TES, total encapsulated suit for entrance into the clean sphere.
There we go.
Once we were pressurized and entered into the clean sphere, well, I should digress. We had a medical evaluation, all of that first.
Yep,
but
this is great.
They ceased doing
Michael
that.
Shred has drawings on all this. Julie, I have all.
Just interested. Let's get you in and get the work done.
This excites me so much. That makes me so
I
happy.
would enter into the clean sphere,
stuff that's
and I was not supposed to communicate with the jrod at all.
I have some.
I was not supposed to.
I have some videos and stuff.
The reality is we were communicating from the time that I entered into the ambassadorial suite external to the clean sphere.
The guy talking in the
back
background,
and forth freely. I could hear whatever he was projecting at me from thought, and he could very clearly hear what I was thinking. I say hear, meaning perceive. I was supposed to stand over by a hologram projection system, which was run as like a teleprompter system over to my right that would be run inside of the clean sphere glass. Hold my hand up and mimic certain signs. And it became a joke. It really did. It became a joke. Those folks who were watching from the gallery running the show thought that I was standing there and mimicking the signs, and this was the only communication underway. They perceived on the day that the approach, the close approach that he made, the grabbing incident that he did with me.
The one in Lakewood?
They perceived that there was a communication that occurred.
Oh, no, never mind.
No, they're still in the clean sphere. They're still in the S4.
Okay. I tuned out for a second.
No, you got to remember they're at the level 4. They're at the biological.
The clean sphere.
I'm actually gonna keep going through this. I'm actually gonna bring some pictures up to bring this to light. Go ahead. I know they are.
Keep playing and not sounding good. Apparently there was a 7.4 earthquake in Japan and a tsunami alert. So hopefully that's
Dude, the
not
solar
true.
flare, and that's gonna pummel California big time with
Hey.
I was looking at these gigantic waves hitting California. My sister
an
lives in Santa
X5.
Barbara.
You guys,
what's going on out
Santa
there,
Cruz.
dude?
Have you guys see the waves in Santa Cruz going on right now?
Yeah, they were
it looks
going
like
up and
tidal waves.
demolishing houses and stuff. I mean, what's going on out there? That's from the.
There
and
was
they
a
were
huge,
saying
you
that
guys,
there
there was
were-
a X5 solar flare, an X5 class solar flare. So that's going to affect the weather and all kinds of things. The earthquake.
Yeah, they said that this was all happening from out at sea, the storms, but you're saying a solar flare caused the storms.
Dude, you're solar marshal. You tell us.
That's funny. Yeah, I know. I should know, right?
We need Dutch sense.
Great.
Hopefully Dutch will be doing an update.
Dude, can
soon.
somebody get Dutch? Like, can somebody
I
just.
sent him a link to the stream, so you never know.
Oh, dude, let me go meditate on like getting a bat signal to Dutch.
Signal Dutch, we need a live update on here now. But in the meantime, we will let this play as we get more details.
So I began getting questioned quite extensively whether or not he in fact was communicating with me, because he had promised not to, apparently, with the Sigma unit. I alluded to the fact that there was conversation underway, but I didn't talk about what it was until, of course, I was caught in my research protocol forwarding ideas that were somewhat different than what they expected, where they expected my private research was going to go. And this is much later. And at that time, the deal was brokered to find out about the doctrine for the convergent timeline paradox. I told them a little bit about what he showed me, a little bit, and they told me a little bit about the DCTP.
Now that you brought that up, which implies travel through time and
Yes.
space, and you said that jrod was retrieved from a crash near Kamman. Was he at that time just traveling through space from the staging area, or?
Yes.
No? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
He wasn't doing any time traveling at that point?
No, not as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Not as far as he told me, no.
Can you describe jrod to us, what he looked like and how he behaved?
Yes. The gentleman with which I was associated was approximately 3.5 feet tall. He had a dark brown appearance, very ruddy appearance to his skin. He was in a highly pressurized clean sphere. He exuded glycoprotein-like material through pores on his skin, which was associated with the neuritis, the neuropathy that we were dealing.
Did this have an odor to it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I couldn't perceive any odors whatsoever. I was inside.
Antifreeze, glycoprotein.
But
Right.
I would imagine, but I have no data set to say what it would have smelled like. And in fact, there was
Like they don't really produce
nothing I
enzymes.
read that indicated whether or not there was an odor. Why?
There's so many side effects. I think that they adjust.
You've asked that before. That's why I'm wondering.
They remind me of
Well, I've heard about this.
that release acid.
There's secretion coming through the pores of the skin before.
They have to absorb things through their skin. They can't even like digest certain from what I understand.
Like
They have to absorb it through their skin. They have to rub it on their skin to get the nutrients.
They don't eat like humans.
Where were we?
Because they tinkered with themselves so much.
3.5 feet.
That's what we do as human
Large
beings.
head in comparison to
We strive for
torso.
genetic perfection, and we're going to
So the
screw
ratio
ourselves up.
of cranial to the torso.
I think they went through a nuclear war too. I think that's what caused some of this too.
I think it was like, it's almost like somebody obsessed with plastic surgery.
Yeah, well, I think the nuclear war messed them up genetically. There was definitely a nuclear war that they had gone through that caused problems. And think about that. That's almost going to happen right now.
I don't know about that, Solar. I feel like this. I feel like this is a almost like imagine Atlantis days, right? Where it's like technologically advanced. I need more knowledge. I need to know. And then advancing technologically and like, oh yeah, I'll take out that gene. I'll mess with that. Take out the emotion. That's making me weak. Take this out, take that out, and like CRISPR getting down to the nitty gritty of like the DNA and tinkering it with this so much, and not like, oh, but I want to know, but I that's what I need, and not understanding like, dude, bro, you're not going to be able to digest food. Like,
Well,
hey,
and
you're not going to be able to do this or feel that of like the
Well, how about-
consequences.
Yeah, well, what about the consequences? What's interesting is they have to come back in time to get fixed. It's basically what ends up happening. They have to come back in time.
But if their future is tied to our future, Solar, if their future is tied to our future, then
Right,
why
but there's
would they
several
allow something
timelines.
that just went down in 2020 to inoculate so many people with that? Damn, never mind.
Well,
I
That's
get
part
it.
of it. What you have to listen to
we'll
is
see
there's
how it
several
evolves.
timelines that diverge different ways, and depending on what happens in certain years, because of free will and all that stuff, it either goes one way to the right or it goes to the left. And that's why you have P42s and P52s and P45s. It's very weird, man. It's hard to explain. I used to have it down really good where I could explain it to somebody, but it's just hard. That's why I have to listen to all this again, because I don't want to make too many mistakes. But
All right, we shall
it definitely gets interesting. Go ahead and hit play there.
Area would be larger than in what we would call a modern human being. Large, bulbous black eyes. The whites of the eyes had been selected out. So it looked like a large pupil, basically. When you look into his eyes, you feel like you're going to fall into his eyes forever.
Aww.
And I think that probably had something to do with the telepathic nature.
Do you guys see what I mean by the storytelling? It gets you.
Large arms, large length. 4 very thin, sinuous fingers, nails, not as long as presented in some of the images that you showed me in the past. The ones done by Tom Mack, was it? Tom?
Bill, you have.
Oh, yeah, that's it. The Puppet Master photos. I'm smiling because the Puppet Master leads me to other nicknames. But he was hunched over most of the time, could not support himself fully, given muscular atrophy, and that had to do with the peripheral neuropathy which he was suffering. So he would grunt and move toward me almost in a flopping fashion. Feet were large in comparison to what we would say our feet would be. He was unclothed 4. Yeah, he was unclothed, which bothered him. He wanted to wear clothing and was refused in every turn. Called himself captive, and justifiably so.
Dude, my heartstrings. Okay.
His feet were unusual in that his the plantar area had a very large knob underneath what we would call our heel. His facial features were grotesque in comparison to what he showed me what normal would be. He was
Normal of his type.
Yes. He was bilaterally symmetrical to the extent that the disease process was not changing his facial features. Nose was recessed, not a nose like we have, but basically two opercula, 2 orifices.
What if this is the remnants of something that happened to him unwillingly?
Small,
like he didn't have a choice
mouth.
in these side effects.
A hard palate, no teeth. His musculature, again, it was suffering from the problem at the myoneural junction due to the neuropathy.
Do you have any idea what his chronological age was?
622. And that I don't know. That number 622 is now used as an important number within the community.
Over in the right here, I'm going to paste the PDF. I just found it in my computer, believe it or not, about Project Aquarius, and it has a book on. It has the book and pictures and stuff about Dan Burisch and the jrod. It's very. It helps big time. Download that a while and don't lose that. Julia, you'll love this as soon as you see it. I just found it, opened it up, and it works perfectly. I'm looking at it right now.
This is like Christmas.
It's got 73 pictures. You're going to be blown away, and it tells the story. Their drawings and stuff. Michael Schratt did this. He put a lot of time in. I helped him do it. So, yeah, you're going to love this. So, anyway, go ahead. Hit play, Burn. Yeah, download it yourself, Burn, if you want. You're going to love this stuff, man.
That right now, but we'll keep playing this and then
content galore.
Yep.
Dude, no wonder I'm single. Like, look at what I'm into.
I know, and that's
a report from 622 could be from anybody.
On and off. That people don't like.
So it's used in fact the SRB report that I have with me. The supplemental report for 0302 that I have.
I'm gonna go get some soda.
Probably is labeled from reviewer 622. I haven't it's going to be a cold reading when we look at it, but it's probably from 622. They excrete in a manner that we would excrete. Their external genitalia are different than ours. The females have somewhat like vulva, but they have a clasper situation. The male has a male clasper, the female claspers. And if it looks like a disc with rectangular solids that are rotated into position for clasping at the inguinal region. They do have internal fertilization.
Now, this was something you read because you didn't see the female.
No, this is something he showed me of his wife.
Oh, internally.
Yes.
And how was that image presented to you? Did it appear?
I was inside the image.
You were inside the image?
That's what it felt like.
Like virtual reality?
Yes. Everything that he showed me when this was the incident. When he projected it into me, it felt like I was there. My sensations were heightened. Quite extraordinary.
Was there a background perceived? Was she in a domicile of some sort?
Again, excuse the pun, a gray surrounding, very, very dull, drab surrounding, almost like a concrete evacuation center. Where you'd have evacuation zones underneath the hotels in case of a mass casualties or a mass disaster, where it was a very clinical environment.
So, were you impressed that he was kind of depressed about his situation?
He was extremely depressed. If we were to term him human, I'm not a psychologist, but I think he would be termed as clinically depressed. He wept, but he didn't weep outside. He wept when he was with me.
Well, could you estimate what his level of intellect was?
Smarter than me. He was smarter than me by a long range.
Did he have a wide range of knowledge?
The mathematics that he showed me blew my mind.
Was that right?
He showed me concurrently not only the equations for the rule of nines, but he also did so diagrammatically, and he did so with three-dimensional, like a VRML system, where I was watching cubes come together. So that if I was not understanding the script, I would understand it as a child learns group theory in mathematics. Highly evolved, highly intellectual, highly repressed emotionally.
Whoa.
When I was with him, I felt great happiness to be with him, but I could feel his great sadness, not only because of what he wanted to become, what he knew he was by being present with us, but where he was and how he was being treated. He was not part of the group that has to be catered to involving the T9 treaty that was just signed. He wanted to help. He was willing. When I went in, for God's sakes, I took well over, nearly 300 individualized aspiration samples from his neurological system. He would hold his arm out for me to take them. There was no pain medication. And whenever I would fire the introduction system to remove the sample, it was an aspirative avulsion system, he would cry, and then he would just stand there and look at me.
There was a suction.
Yes, yeah. In fact, I would bring the sample after the initial removal from his tissues into the introduction system, and then approve it and move it from there to one of the helper biologists. Usually it was Robert, outside of the clean sphere, and then he would move it from there to be handled under our normal protocols. It was a level 5 past our the BMBL system. He'd just stand there and take it.
So, do you feel the communication that he established with you when you were in contact with him, could he extend this communication over any distance?
60 feet.
60 feet.
Definitely 60 feet.
Okay.
It was 60 feet from the center of the clean sphere to the introduction ramp going down into the ambassadorial suite. So at least 60 feet.
So you don't feel like he's been in communication with you since that time?
No.
Okay.
Was it selective in some way? Was it willfully selective on his part who he wanted to communicate?
Yes. Yes. The folks that I'm sorry. The folks that wanted to find out what he was saying to me, they knew darn well that he was communicating with me after a while, because I was smiling. I couldn't help it, because we were actually joking back and forth. And they didn't know. They didn't have any clue. They didn't have any clue what he was saying. So it had to have been selective. They certainly wouldn't have pressed me like they did after I woke up from the big attention scenario. I woke up outside of the clean sphere. I was drug out of there by Stephen. He finally got a secondary suit on and drugged me out of the clean sphere. No, they had no clue. They had no clue what he was saying. I'm sure of it. They were extra rough in removing my plug and my catheter and all of that business after I got out of the TES.
Yeah. One of the things that I want to ask you now.
Take a look. I put 2 more links down there, 2 more videos. One is 3 full hours.
Then we're going to take a break.
You want to grab both YouTube videos, even though the one's called Hoaxing It Up, it's nothing about hoaxing.
I'm smiling because I'm envisioning the lack of the
throw
lights.
everybody off. One's 3 hours and the other one's a couple hours. There are 2 different interviews. I'm grabbing everything. The one is
nice. I'll post all the links.
But the last one is all Dan for 3 hours. The one I just put down there at the bottom.
Nice. So I'll let this one keep playing for a little bit here first.
Yeah. No, I'm not telling you to pull it up. I'm telling you to grab these and save these.
Dude, thank you so much, because I literally had to reach out to my ex-boyfriend and I was like, hey, you know that link that I put this, I had to literally approach him and be like, dude, I put a link to the bedroom account of this Dan Burisch interview that I need that. And thank you.
I'm finding it from remembering
years,
what
you got
called.
that and more.
I'm so excited. This is amazing.
I'm finding it other ways and putting his name in. I was remembering Project Aquarius and all this other stuff. And now
I just have to find him.
The other thing was to download that PDF. Make sure you do that.
Gone straight.
And he's in Henderson. He's still around.
Dude, I'll go there. Like, whatever I have to do. Like, if you get a hold of him or whatever, whoever gets to him first, like, I will go. I will do whatever. Like,
last time I knew of him, he really got into the Mormon religion, and he had became a preacher. He
got into Mormonism?
Yeah.
I will send Andreas to go talk to him.
Yeah, he did. And,
I will gladly have him on to preach his truth when you go find him, Julia.
What's crazy is, Bernie, is I have not seen him in a long time doing anything.
Well, it sounds like 2024 is the perfect time to have Dan Burisch come back on.
Oh my God, yeah. I'm trying to find this one interview with him on stage. It's great, but this interview you're watching now is fantastic. I'm just saying now, and all that stuff I put in the chat, make sure you just grab all of it.
100% we will. And I'll put it in the live chat.
Thank you. You have no idea how much this means to me.
I'm downloading all of it.
Why are we talking?
Oops, sorry. You go.
Now, what is your intention in telling us about this, about your involvement?
It's multifocal. It's multifocal. There's several reasons. The largest reason is not the most important reason. The largest reason from a personal perspective is to step out from under the Black Ops community and retire. I'm ready. I told you before, I can see myself walking along a pond and not being bothered by anybody except for maybe a bird here or there, and taking a sample and just taking my time and looking at it for fun, for enjoyment.
And you're worried about your health, right?
Well, my health is degrading. There's no
I'm
doubt
getting
about
like
that.
Aquarius Pisces
The
vibes
heart
from
disease
him.
that I have is in fact degrading my health. Time is coming. I don't know how long that is, and of course that's within God's providence.
So you'd
I-
like to maybe have some freedom, to have some
Yes.
time of your own.
Yes.
To go to Walden's Pond or something, right? Study the life.
Disappear at Walden's Pond.
Right.
There are other reasons too. You know, without yelling the poor me scenario. Yes, people have a right to know. I mean, that's, you know, other folks have screamed that. Some of them I think real, some of them phony as a $3 bill. Yes, they have a right to know what is going on. They have a right to know because this is their future. Or maybe not. And it depends upon our wisdom or lack thereof. This gets me thinking. The one thing that we've heard from the Brookings Institution study, the famous clamp study, was this would cause a great social upheaval. It would destroy our social bonds, our religious bonds. And in fact, I know I'm digressing, but I ramble. Every time an individual is approached with the issue of, would this destroy your faith? I have heard, it's my experience only, I'm sure there are going to be varied opinions. No, it'd strengthen it. It'd strengthen it. From a certain perspective, yes. From another perspective, no. The Brookings Institution was correct on a certain level. Suspend disbelief for a moment and walk with the idea that this is real. That the ruins that are present on the moon and on Mars, the ancient temples, are in fact the gifts of our own progeny. Can you imagine what is going to happen when those temples, which were prayed to as the gods, are found out to be nothing more than the creations of men, that the men themselves were those who were being worshipped?
There's another one I put down there.
Fall headlong into the pool of Narcissus.
Whoa, Dan. Whoa. Whoa.
Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we'll find truth, love, God, in something other than buildings and stones and marble. Maybe we'll find out who he really is, or she, it, or just us.
Take a break.
Please.
Take 5 minutes, yeah. Take 5 minutes and talk about what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Okay, he comes back from this, and
I
that's
missed a
when he
little bit
says some
about
stuff
these
that's like, that I love. The stuff he says after that.
The medical exams, which fade out after a while.
Right.
But
Like,
the other
takes a
tape
break.
talked a little bit more about some of the.
Yeah, he's like the lights are bothering my eyes.
That's fine.
What it's like for you to.
Yeah, he's great.
Okay.
And then he lets things out that he's like, I probably shouldn't be saying this.
I used to watch him at night before I'd go to bed, and he'd relax me and put me to sleep literally, because watching him, I just felt really relaxed. Watching him, I believe
That's how I feel about
The other
August.
thing is, that might be pertinent to what you.
When I'm really tapped in, which is you know,
What you were looking
chunks
at
of time throughout, you know, each month, if you get what I'm saying. But Og to Les, when I'm most connected, I have to fall asleep to Og to Les videos. But same with Dan Burisch. Like, I'm talking like for over 10 years, I've had to fall asleep to Dan Burisch videos.
No, I had his phone. He
That's a good one. I had no clue. And in fact,
he said,
who
how
we got
about
on our side, a biochemist to turn our attitudes around.
Talk between 3
and after about a year, he didn't turn our attitudes around. He finally joined us.
After we talked a couple of weeks in a row, we had talked 3-4 days
Finally
here.
said, no, we can't do this.
Oh my God, I want to hear what you're saying so bad, but I can't.
Talk every
Bernie's
Friday.
probably outside.
We were dealing with a situation where it was.
Oh, sweet.
There we go. I'm back. Sorry about that. Sorry.
What happened was, he had put his phone number up on the forum. I was on the Eagles Disobey forum, and he said, anybody wants to talk, go ahead, give me a call. And I couldn't believe I called one day, and that's how I was. That's how I met Ed Fouché and everybody else, John Lear, by calling.
Wait, what'd you say, Touche? Wait, what?
No, Fouché, Fouche, the Area 51 or the Area 51 TR3B guy, and that's how me and Jeremy met 15 years ago. But anyways, yeah. And me and Dan started talking, and he said about, he goes, hey, how about if we talk on Friday afternoons? He was bored and stuff. And I'm going to tell you one day about what happened.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
I called him. He did not call me one day, and I'll tell you what happened. I don't know if Jeremy's told you about it or not. I'm not going to tell you tonight. It's very cool.
Let's do a show about it.
It blew me away. Either this guy has the greatest sound machine I ever heard in my life, or I listened to him leave McCarran Airport and fly to Area 51 on a helicopter.
And how could you fake that, really? I mean, you could.
That's what blew me away. I told Jeremy, I said, Jeremy, there's no fucking way this guy could have faked it. I said he would have had to have some kind of sound machine that faked all these noises, including the security guard that kept coming and saying his name, and it's going to be 5 more minutes, Mr. Burisch, blah, 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 blah. 5 more minutes, hey, Marcia, blah, blah, blah. I mean, and it was echoing like you're in a building that's got hard floors, hard walls, no carpet. It was really fucking interesting, man. And he said that he had his cell phone in his pocket and had the speaker. Back then it wasn't the Nokias, but it was they started getting the flip phones had come in.
Look, and when you start body jumping and stuff, and you're doing that, you microbiologist becomes like the rock stars. There's some things that haven't been worked out.
There's no doubt that he got on a helicopter. I heard it, and I was listening to it to the point where you couldn't hear anything anymore because it was so damn loud. And it sounds just like the videos when you put on YouTube and you hear guys in helicopters and stuff, that and the loudness in there. And I said to Jeremy, there's no way it could have been a sound machine. I said, there's just no, I was just shocked by it for a while. And then he said, you realize that I've never done that before. And I was like, you literally held your phone on the speakerphone until you got the room leg. Yep.
Whoa.
I was just like, wow. And this was like hour and 15 minutes between the time he went through last security check and got on, like I said, not an airplane, a helicopter. He flew up there. They flew him personally up there.
Wow.
Right, and his wife is her father was part of the Majestic 12, which is apparently you go to Project Bluebeam, you go to like a lot of the you keep following those puppet strings. It towards the top, it would be Majestic 12. So if that's who his wife is related to genetically,
Yes. Now he speaks about that. Now there was nothing he could tell me about what was going on at Groom at all, or where he was at. But he just told me, he goes, you're in for a treat today. He goes, do not hang up. And that's when he stuck the phone in his pocket. And I just started hearing people talking to him. And then he would grab the phone and say something. He would talk into the phone. It was in his pocket. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I sat there listening. And every now and then he'd talk again. And And finally, you were hearing his name being called over a thing, and then they went and reported to a room.
Really, you heard like an echo, like an echo
Yes.
of his name?
Yeah, you could hear like he was being called over a speaker at some portion
Wow.
of McCarran, him and her, and they got up, and then when they went in that room, the quality of the sound had changed to a room that would be private, that wouldn't have the echo anymore. And the security guards called him, and he went up, and he was joking around. He knew the guy because obviously he's like must go up there all the time, and they were joking back and forth and stuff like that. He's like, get out of here. And then as he went out, you could hear him go outside. You could hear a lot of noises in the background, and that's when he said he had the phone in his pocket, and he said, dude, I'm going to Groom. And I was like, what? And I couldn't believe what he was saying. And then he gets on this helicopter, and he's still talking in the phone. But then when that thing starts winding up, okay, it was way too loud. I couldn't hear anything. And then eventually
Dude,
we got
you
cut
can't.
off.
Wow.
Yeah. Eventually we got cut off.
What was your conclusion of like speaking to him? I know we'll dive way deeper into this, but your assessment of speaking to him, what he had to say, what you revive. I'm talking about picking up on like what you perceive.
Was he being truthful? Is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Yes. And I don't even hesitate to say it, because the thing is, I called him that day, and he didn't call me. If he's setting up this sound machine and stuff, I mean, he had to be sitting there waiting for me to call. I called him, and thing is, the Ganesh particle thing, I believe that. The jrod thing, okay, it's hard for me to believe.
There's some sketchy parts.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
some
all of
sus.
it.
It's a
Yeah,
little
it's
sus.
hard for me to believe all of it. But there's parts of it that are just so interesting. But here's something I want to tell you. There are so many interviews out there with this guy about jrod, about the P45s, the P52 jrod Orions. And these people were from the future, and I say people because that's what they are. They are genetically changed humans, if you will. We apparently like left.
Well, that's why I was asking earlier of like, what if this happened to them and they didn't know, like this was done to them and they were under the impression of it being something entirely different? Because I know I was kind of leaning with like, oh, there's these beings, as I'm aware of, there's these beings and they tinker with certain emotions and they tinker with certain DNAs for the intention of like knowledge and to advance, and I must attain like more power and more knowledge, and but of this being a side effect of something that was done to them. Which
Right, and the
pretty
thing is, look how
the last few years.
strange they look now, which was something that always bothered me. But from what I was told, I'm pretty sure about this. Something had happened that the temperature had changed, either where they were at or where they were, due to nuclear war, which made the temperature go way up. So their whole physiological bodies changed and stuff to be able to adapt to the amount of heat that was coming through in the radiation, which would make you an ugly looking, possibly gray.
Whoa.
That could explain why the skin's different. That could explain why there's no clothing. That could explain so much. That can also explain why there's no interaction between us and these ETs that come to Earth, because maybe they have so much radiation on them they could kill us instantly.
I highly recommend Nathaniel Gillis, and I love the information that he has to say. And he's talking about times that in the 16th century, the 17th century, these beings appearing to women as their husband, and then they consummate. Wow. They consummate with them, and why they know what the woman thinks about affects the soul that is brought in and is consummated. So they are obsessed. I get that time and time again. They're obsessed with soul technology, right?
Yeah.
And they're looking for host bodies. So,
interesting you say that.
but the difference when you apply that to demons, right? Because then what the women talk about, it appeared as their husband, and then it morphed into a different type of being. And this is 16th century, 17th century. There's these stories of this. So then,
what do they look like, the beings? Do you have any idea? Or
they talk. Nathaniel Gillis talks about this, and it kind of sounds like an elongated type gray, but that the woman, it appeared as their husband, and then it morphed afterwards. After it was consummated, it morphed into that type of being. So okay, but the what a lot of things aren't correlated, and that's what I love about Nathaniel Gillis is like the demons, the extraterrestrials, and of correlating that of like what you're taught is demonic or demons, which I always attest to. Remember, hey, before you talk about demons, like remember these demons were once human, right?
Sure.
They're disembodied spirits, and I think like looking at people walking around, like there's a lot of shitty people out there.
Mm-hmm.
And when they they make some bad decisions and their spirit goes to a certain place, and I don't know, but yeah.
It sounds interesting. I know Dan's story is the most interesting thing I ever heard in my life. I'll put it that way. If it's fake,
he sounds like the real Bob Lazar.
What do you think? What do you think of hearing this? Because I don't know if you just heard it tonight for your first time, or what about the people in the audience? What do you guys think? Because I know it resonated hard. Like it hit me hard. Like it slapped. It slapped my DNA.
Yeah, he's fun to listen to.
Interesting.
He's got a talent about him for telling stories, but what I was saying was I've listened to him tell this thing over and over again, many times, different people at different places, different interviews. Never once did I hear the guy contradict something, and that's what I was looking for, because that's what I did with Lazar. I'm like, okay, if this guy's full of shit, I'm going to find it, and I could never find that one problem. You will find other people couldn't find that either. Because I was looking to debunk him because I thought it was bullshit is what happened. So I started hardcore listening to the story, and I found myself like being like, wow, this doesn't sound like shit to me. This doesn't sound like Lazarisms, because Lazar is constantly contradicting himself. And
I like that map, Bernie. Is it the Air Force Base? And
yeah, that's the PDF I sent him to download. Go through that.
Oh yeah, we are taking a look right now. And
this is I said. Did you download this, young lady?
Dude, I copied all of I copied all of the links and like I pasted it, and then you would send something else like, oh wait, there's two more. I'm like, oh, and you do it all again.
Download it. Did you see the part with Dan there at the beginning with the jrod? That should be the first page or two, or maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, that was computer images by Michael.
Yeah. They're drawings, but it gives you an idea. There you go. There's a jrod on him.
Oh, Strat drew these. Yeah, that's a drawing.
Yeah,
that's right. Didn't he say he was like almost 4 feet tall? He was like just under 4 feet.
Yeah, and Dan's pretty short himself. Yeah, 4 feet. Go to the first one. Go to the first page. I think there's a picture of the craft. Yep. Project Aquarius. That's what I searched too.
As Pluto's moving into Aquarius.
I had it right here. I'm like, wow, here it still is. It's from that download. That's from like 2 computers ago. That's still in this one. Uploaded files.
That's amazing.
Because I've even found other
right
stuff
now.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
And there's actual evidence of Dan's doctorate and his bachelor's of science degrees both being removed, it said, from
really removed. Why?
New York SUNY. There's a number of reasons why the SUNY doctoral didn't go through, and it doesn't matter. He had the degrees from UNLV that are proven. The state university one, where there's a lot of traveling back and forth, and he just didn't have the credits because he was back and forth between Nevada because he got married in New York, and he would fly back and forth for school. I mean, it just ended, and he didn't get his doctoral. So
he was deployed in Operation Desert Storm as defense biowarfare expert in Black Ops operations.
What?
Yeah, he was over there, but he was not like a killer or anything like that. He was over there because in case they had weapons,
In case something went off
WMD.
or
Yeah, WMDs like chemical
stockpile.
weapons chemical weapons or biological weapons. He is a biologist. He is a biologist by trade,
Right.
and they wanted him over there.
But if he was in Black Ops and they went in there for the portal thing or whatever, like the Sumerian or Babylonian Stargates, could he have potentially been undercover on that?
That's a good question. He was with all those people over there. I'm sure he's with Black Ops team. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, he was on that whole thing with the with going back over there again. They were looking for them WMDs. He was there. There's video footage of him over there too. He was shooting a gun off at one point, and that video was on Marcia McDowell's site. I'm like, holy crap, Dan's over in Iraq, and this is like 05, 06, something like that, maybe. It looked like the video was from.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, some crazy stuff was going on, man. He his being as intelligent as he was a major asset. He's very smart. And yeah, let me see what that says. That's the S4 stuff. S4, yeah, military. Okay, yeah.
I feel like some of the things he was told,
yeah,
like he wasn't in the full light of it, of like, oh, I'm from the star system, like,
yeah.
But
could be disinfo what they tell him, sort of thing.
Yeah, but I'm like, why would jrod like
Yeah,
telepathically send him something else? But maybe, I don't know, knowing like what would happen if he told we were from deep within the earth and that we fly around.
Well, I think the jrod told him he was an Orion, didn't he? Isn't that what the jrod?
Yeah, but I never vibe. Like, it's like psychically, you gotta understand, I was trained to stare at, I know this sounds super out there, but whatever, I own it. Like, just to stare at specific star systems and specific stars and go into a trance state, like a samadhi state, and receive data. And based off of all of my experiences, which I spent years doing and got extracted a lot of information that I have documented, but what I received from that was that it entirely shifted my perspective of what stars are and what light years are. And I don't vibe at all when they say light years. I like laugh at it. Like, oh, you're saying a photon travels at this. Like, it's a very aristocratic of like, oh, how dare you think such a thing? Like, oh, really? You think in light years, do you, darling? But it's not. So when he speaks of certain star systems and what I understand it as and what my experience with it firsthand has been, I'm like, oh, like, I'm not going to vibe with like these beings are from that star system. I don't buy it. I don't believe it at all. There's data in that. There's sound in that. There's knowledge and data in that, And
let me ask you this. When you look at the star, I'm very curious to this. When you look at the star system, the Orion star system, do you get any vibration at all that there's possibly life from there?
Okay, let me tell you something. And this is huge because I always felt like I would never talk about this ever to anyone. And I'm going to say it right now just because you asked me. When somebody asks me, I can't avoid it, right? Like, it's like, boom, you got the right question. But the information I received from everywhere else was on point, right?
Yeah.
From that star system, Orion,
Yeah.
It was always lies.
Okay.
The data I received, it was literally deceit and lies. So I don't know if you channel. So therefore, if there wouldn't be karmic blowback, based off of my experience, I was always like, dude, no. Like, it's my least favorite star to channel information from.
Well, there's like
It
a
was always-
binary
it was
star
never-
system there, and we're told that a
So I-
binary star system, something can't live there, and that's why I asked.
Oh, for whatever reason. But like, so a lot of these times you hear people say certain things, which, okay, Dark Star had mentioned to me, which verified, it was the only other thing that I'd ever verified. It was something I kept secret. I never shared with anyone. And when I said that to him, I was like, you know, he said some data about somebody that is like, oh, Sirius. And I was like, oh, God, no. I was like, to me, that doesn't verify. To me, whoever's claiming Sirius or that star system is fictitious. You know what I mean? So it checks out. There's certain things that will verify that's coded. And he was like, well, he talked about this guy that said that never believe anything that Sirius says. Never believe anything from that star system. And I was like, interesting, because that was my personal experience with it. So to me, it was like, ooh, like a inside validation, verification of like, like external validation. Thank you. But so when Dan would speak of that never, I was always like, ooh, is this? And why would jrod say that? Because he did say that he was from that star system, right?
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yes, the Orion star system is where a lot of this stuff takes place. The reason why I ask is, man, there's a lot of stories I look into, and it doesn't matter if they're short Orions or tall.
Don't you notice that too? Don't you guys find that weird? The one information that kept checking out, like, it's so hard to get this info, but for some reason, they're always from the Orion system. Like, really? You don't find that to be a little weird?
Yeah, I think there's something going on there. I really do. Yeah, I believe there's aliens there. I really do. And it's a big area. I mean, it's huge. It's way larger than this area.
There's also like several of the pyramids, the main big pyramids, like are aligned to the Orion star system.
Right. That's why too. Yeah.
The Dogon tribe they talk about Syria.
Well, wait, and Dogon. Wait, what does it spell when you take Dogon backwards? Right? No God.
Oh wow!
Interesting. Was unaware of that.
Crazy.
That's fascinating.
That's weird. But yeah, you have the Orion points matching up to the pyramids. In Egypt, which is interesting.
I feel like the girl on the plane. Like, I'm telling you right now, if there's any information about Sirius or that comes from that, do not. That is fake. I totally feel like her, but God, I gotta say it. And it was something I never thought I would ever talk about ever.
She made me laugh. I was watching an interview with her not long ago. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the girl on the plane. I couldn't think of who she was. I'm like,
well, you did an interview with her?
Yeah,
no way.
Yeah, she did an interview, and she said that it was all about headphones and had nothing to do with aliens. And she was just her cousin and all this stuff. They had gotten into a big argument, and she was pissed off at him. And I'm just like, wow, this story just completely changed. It just really, it just totally changed.
Weird.
Yeah, and that kind of upset me because I wanted to hear the shapeshifter story more than anything.
Right.
And I'm going to continue to watch you guys. I'm going to put you guys on my other thing, but I'm going to lay down. I'm so tired. It's 3 a.m. here.
Oh my God! Thank you, Solar.
Specifically.
All right.
And yes, thank you, Solar. Happy New Year, brother.
Hey, Happy New Year, man. Happy New Year,
May you feel better.
Yeah, you know why? I'm just about, my head is still so stuffed up, dude. When you contacted me, it was crazy. It was like all of a sudden my head just got so stuffed up again. And believe it or not, now there's a cold going around after I healed up from COVID. I think I just caught this damn cold now too, because what happens is when you get COVID, your defense system goes way down. And my brother has it. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. So when I go back to work in 2 days, I'll be going back with a fresh cold after being off from COVID and having off last week because of the holidays. I don't want to go back to work sick. I hate going back to work sick, you know.
Oh my God, Solar, thank you so much. You made my holiday. Like I was for the last week, I kept putting out vibes of like, I need to talk to Solar about Dan. Dan Burisch.
You got a hold of me or I would hook you up because I wasn't doing anything. I had to sit here and think in the back of my mind what the name of a lot of this stuff is. The Ron Garner stuff is great. The Bill Hamilton stuff is great. I'll get you the Ron Garner stuff. Ron Garner talks about Dan Burisch and all this stuff and how the story can't be fake and everything. Ron passed away about 7 years ago.
It's interesting what Bill Hamilton would say about that they spray chemtrails to prevent you from seeing certain ships.
Yeah, that's true too.
And then how who his father was, and how his father had like a really big connection to Hollywood and printing the film out. That was very significant. And he's the one that says that the moon is not from here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the moon was supposedly towed in from what planets? I think it was towed in from Jupiter. It would have to be, because if it were towed in from anywhere else, think about it, Jupiter has so many moons. That moon would be nothing for some alien civilization to grab a hold of and bring it in here. And it was towed in here supposedly 55,000 years ago. We know that can't be true. And then supposedly the real number, I think, is 5 billion years ago. It was towed in and put into where it was placed at. So Earth had a perfect orbit then, because Earth's balance was off. You have to have a moon to counterbalance your spin. And they put that there, and then life started thriving here. That's something I heard about from long ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, you have to have a moon for a counterbalance. Yeah, if you think about what's being said there, if you just have the Earth spinning, it starts to wobble and it doesn't spin straight. If you have the moon pulling on it, I can't explain it, but it's almost like if you would wrap like a line around a ball that's spinning and you pull pressure on it, it'll hold that thing in a perfect place so it spins around the same rotation all the time.
No matter where it came from, how would it magnetically stay there?
How would the moon magnetically stay there?
Mm-hmm. Whether it came from Jupiter or Earth or wherever.
They put that in a stationary around it. The moon goes around the Earth then, you know what I mean? The moon travels around the Earth, and it does one spin, one rotation per 360 degree spin per every time it goes around the Earth, and it takes 365 days to go around the Earth. Remember that.
Yeah,
it takes a full year to go around the Earth. Yeah, one time. It's very interesting to get into and talk about, but it makes total sense when you look at it. We would not be here at all if it wasn't for the moon. If something ever happens,
time out. You heard it here first. I like to theosophize or philosophize or throw it out there of, okay, how there's an opening at the North Pole, right?
Yeah.
And it's literally an opening. And the size of it too. What? Imagine if that's where the Earth came from. If it's like this. Can you see my cheek?
What do you mean, imagine if that's where the Earth came from?
No, the moon. The moon. Did I say Earth?
I think you're saying moon. Like it's spit it out. Yeah, but
if it's from, because I know Bill said it's not the moon. Our moon is not from here. But I'm saying I'm theosophizing. All right, let me entertain you. Nobody freaking knows. So imagine that opening. Have you seen the footage of the 1987 of the Russian space station thing, where it looks like the opening of the North Pole?
Yes.
And the size of that?
Yeah.
Okay,
that one
so it is not far out there. Okay, especially if there's a firmament, you guys. If there is a firmament, we're going to respect that. Then why is it so crazy to think that the freaking moon was once involved at the top of Earth, okay? And it was hollowed out, Like, yeah. And then there's something put inside before it was. And therefore something happened in the atmosphere or whatever to keep it up there. Dude, I don't know. I mean, I think that's the most brilliant thing I've ever heard anybody explain of where the moon came from. So I might be insecure about having to say this and talk and discuss this and say this out loud without being embarrassing, but that's the best damn thing I've ever heard of where the freaking moon came from, that it came from Jupiter or Saturn.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. Definitely is. It's definitely a big, well, the other thing is, too, they also said there were Russian scientists were saying that the moon was a damn spaceship, too. Been a number of stories about the moon written. The Russians are really into it. They claim the moon is coated in titanium also, which is really amazing.
When I remote viewed it, what I came across was I did this remote viewing session that turned out to be the moon. And what I can explain is there's something on the outside of it that made it breathable. It was very important that the surface of it was breathable. And what it reminded me of that I could translate it was, you know how there's crypto, they have to have, when you run the crypto, it has to be in a certain fluid. Are you guys familiar with that fluid?
No.
And it has to be inside of certain things because it runs the way it runs. And that's what it reminded me of the moon, of like that it's similar. What operates inside of it and what's running inside of it and that type of system. It needs to be breathable, the way it must breathe. Like this.
Look up John Lear and the moon having a breathable atmosphere. You're talking to a broken record to me. I can tell you right now, I absolutely believe that the moon's been breathable. And there's an atmosphere on the moon. And believe it or not, this one guy that went to the moon and stuff like that, he had claimed that the sky was more saffron looking when he would look up into the sky.
Wait, that he was more what? Saffron?
There's an atmosphere on the moon. Yeah, he said it was a saffron color. There is an atmosphere on the moon. It's not strong as ours, but there's one there that you can breathe. And that's all true. Look up John Lear. Breathable atmosphere on the moon sometime and you'll see it. Unfortunately, John passed away a couple years ago, but it's written all over the place. You can find this stuff easily. I can look it up some other time. I'm going to crash because of this cold I seem to be developing, and it's 3 a.m. But I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch you on YouTube on my TV. So put the Dan Burisch video back on, y'all. All right.
We love you, Solar. Appreciate you. Thank you for making it the best holiday ever. Thank you.
Well, you know what? I'm having fun watching it. This is going to help put me to sleep, but I can't believe I'm sick again. It's unbelievable.
Right?
I'm just sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, my head's getting stuffed up. What's up, brother?
Heal up, and may the force of the Dan Burisch videos be with us all.
Yes, Julia, pump some of them vibes into my brain to heal me up while I'm sleeping, all right? Okay.
I will.
All right, I am dead serious, but I'm going to watch this on my TV. I'm going off the computer now. Later, everybody. It's been a good one. We'll do this again very soon.
Solar.
Yeah, anytime you want to contact me, listen, I'll set it up that you can contact me. You can give her my info, Bernie, so she can text.
Sweet, I'm going to crank call you.
Send her stuff. You know what I mean?
100%.
I can send her stuff from work because when I'm at work at night, it doesn't matter. Half the time I'm bored, I can look up shit and send it to you or whatever. You know, I have all this stuff memorized.
Be doing many more streamed together in 2024.
We're gonna do a Bigfoot show too, Burn. Yep. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait. All right, I'll see you.
We love you, Solar. Happy New Year.
Love you too. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes, Happy New Year to everybody, and God bless.
I'm fucking tired, man. Holy.
Well, there we go. So if you're up for it, Julia, I'll continue on watching for like another half hour or so.
I'm available. Wait, are you asking them?
All right. No, asking you, sister. Asking you.
No, yes, I'm here. I'm here. You got me. I'm all amped. I'm all excited.
Right. I'd never heard of jrod. This is absolutely epic stuff. And the fact that it's been expunged, and great job, Dan, at being able to pick this back up and share it with us all.
I gotta find him, Bernie.
Yes, yes, you do, and we have to interview him this year, 2020.
And the other thing that I think you made a very good statement about why you're doing this. I wonder if there's anything else we can do for you. Anything else you can say that is of value to you that we can record for you, as far as what you hope to, how you hope to get out, what it is about. I mean, you said it's your health and a number of other things. I'm just wanting to put it to you that if there's anything else that comes to mind you'd like to add in that regard, in terms of what is you're trying to accomplish. Because I know I would like to tell our elected government what we're doing. Maybe you should say that. You know, I mean, under the appropriate circumstances, because there are military applications that need to be handled in a very careful manner. For example. Understand. All right. Those issues we're going to be extremely careful about here today, because they should be taken with great care. Of course, our objective, which including the military applications for Lotus. I know that we're somewhat constrained for time today. Well, how much longer do we have? It's only 16:37.
How much time do we have?
We've got time. Okay. I have to be back at 1900.
1900. 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Okay.
Okay, we have plenty of time.
All right. All right. Okay, good.
We're not
in
in
a
a rush.
Well, what I want to do is, the only other thing I'd say was we're trying to focus on, and it's been great so far. It's been very focused, very, very central to the jrod interaction. We felt that was the best way to introduce you to our next stage. Right. Now we can talk about anything we want. We got plenty of tape, as long as you can stay on the lights. You know, I beyond the three things I just mentioned, anything you might want to bring up.
Do you think that thing is real? Do you think that thing is real? What's that? That piece of paper you showed me, the letters. I don't know.
Say what?
Oh, this is when it gets good. See, I said
who has a heart condition.
when the lights bother his eyes, when he comes
I
back
figured
from
that
that,
it was
this is what I want to hear.
It was need to know basis above that. I didn't figure that there was direct. See, and the rumors coming at me about the potential for public acclamation, that would be for him, those initials to take back as the hero in this situation, because he loves playing the hero. And you show me a piece of paper that says ordered to remain. Ostensibly, that's what I meant. Ordered to remain in the capacity, which means that there is a greater loop. I've had the chance to speak with the individual one time, and he was funnier than hell. He really was. I heard that there was a transcript involving that got out. In fact, I was shown one time. The first meeting, the one where I bolted, the one where you scared the hell out of me, not as much as you did today, but in a little more relaxed circumstance.
I infer their use, and I've seen the sales of the word burn refers to PPE.
Mm-hmm.
I infer their use of the word clock refers to timeline paradigms.
Mm-hmm. I would buy that.
Before we, let's talk a little bit about the things we just discussed. What was it that you thought you were looking at when you were looking at these slides of material of unknown origin?
Well, we were looking at extremely minute microglial cells. We knew that they were eukaryotic. However, they were unusual in the sense that their cytoplasm and their internal organization, the organelle structures were fused, such as dictyosomes to mitochondria, things like that. And we had no idea what we were
looking at. The original contention made by the individuals next to me was that we were looking at some type of biological warfare material, an intermediate, and they had more experience.
Shall we listen to that again? This is just crazy.
From here
We were
to from that
we were
point of
looking
where he
at
talked on
extremely
is like the info that's what I was looking for.
Right? Like, and how old is this interview? This is
It's old. I want to say that's from 04 to 04 to 06. So I'm saying 04, but it could be anywhere from 04 to 06. And I believe it took place in Vegas.
Huh.
New microglial cells. We knew that they were eukaryotic. However, they were unusual in the sense that their cytoplasm and their internal organization, the organelle structures were fused, such as dictyosomes to mitochondria, things like that. And we had no idea what we were looking at. The original contention made by the individuals next to me was that we were looking at some type of biological warfare material.
Yeah, well, if they're
intermediate.
testing the solution on a future, something that's going to be used in the future for biological warfare.
They have more
Like that's why I don't think he's
experience,
inclined. I don't think he's knowledgeable in
which
everything.
matters. So, and being that I was new, I was letting them take the lead.
That's great. Now let's talk a little bit. The second one was tell us a little bit more in detail about the physical aspects of preparing for an entry into the sphere.
Fine. Well, we would undergo a medical examination, at least during the early time frame of the introductions, the 92 time frame, 91 to 92, when we were doing introductions. We had regular systematic medicals by a physician. Following that, we would be suited, we would be catheterized, plugged, and suited. Communication apparatus was placed on our heads. We had a cooling system set up. It was, for all intents and purposes, it was a space suit. It was a total encapsulated suit, something like what you would find in a NASA facility. Not so much something that you would see, well, for instance, at USAMRIID or CDC, that type of level 4 suit. It was more of a regular space type suit with joints. We were suited up, we were pressurized, and then walked with our cooling system and our hosing down a ramp into the ambassadorial suite. Following that, we were led up a gantry-way, which had been moved into position by the clean sphere, which had been previously rotated up through an iris through the floor. He was held actually below the ambassadorial suite level, and that was raised up as needed. What they did with him down there, he didn't say, and they didn't tell me. It was not a need to know issue. Apparently they dealt with the cleaning of the sphere and all of that down there. The regular housed animal maintenance as they treated him. We would be led up the gantry-way. The hoses would be hooked into an interior system inside the doorway, which was exterior to the clean sphere. And it was called the exterior system, in fact, but we would be led in, the door would be closed, and we would be pressurized inside of the gantry-way. Following that, there was a drum system that was set up. Once there was an equal pressurization between the gantry-way and the clean sphere, we would then be told to proceed forward. I would raise a hand in acknowledgement. We were not supposed to talk at the time at all because nothing verbal around the specimen, around the jrod. Why, I was never told, but we were not supposed to talk around the jrod. I moved the drum system and re-hooked a secondary set of hosing inside the clean sphere, checked the pressurization, and once that was done, the door to the clean sphere would be closed behind me, and I would presume that the pressurization remained the same in the gantry-way. Following that, I would do my business inside of the clean sphere involving contacting the jrod and removing the samples.
And what was the reason you were removing samples?
We were removing samples to attempt a treatment, a full diagnosis and a treatment for a paraprotein related monoclonal gammopathy of uncertain significance type disorder.
Ooh, that's important.
Which had various attributes to it, among which were a cocaine type presence to the jrod.
Did you say
cocaine syndrome
cucking?
type presence, and certain genetic issues involving chromosome 5 and 17, which led us to Charcot-Marie tooth disorder, and their glycoprotein, their antifreeze glycoprotein problems.
Yeah, that info
essentially
is.
they were losing heat because of the problems at their axonal ridges. They were not transmitting the energy, something like a dystrophy. And when the action potential goes down a nerve, well, their action potentials were dying at the synapse. They were
like a
also
central
losing
nervous
energy
system.
because there was a demyelination process underway. That demyelination process was, well, since the Q94 document, was tied to a CMT1A like problem, the Charcot-Marie tooth problem called PMP22, which is a protein number 22, which an overexpression of that gene causes a greater demyelination. We tied that to the demyelination issue involving the promoters for the PMP22. Those promoters, there's 2 promoters for it, were selectively deselected with the use of TFOs, or triplets forming oligonucleotides. It's essentially an ssDNA vector expression system that we're using. Oops.
Doesn't that?
You're staring at me, Bill. I'm sorry.
Bill, one thing. When you're speaking, when you don't sort of make any noises, just nod. That's good.
But I'm not.
Sometimes we're going, ooh, R-E. That's a
Okay.
Just keep used to nodding. Great.
That's all he's been doing is nodding. I shouldn't.
Right. So do you want to simplify?
I'm sorry, Bill.
No, I don't. Actually, no. I think that's fine.
I'm sorry, Bill.
Actually, I understood some of it.
That's all right. Doesn't that interfere in the demyelination process? Okay, isn't that similar to conditions that humans sometimes have, like, what is it, muscular dystrophy?
Well, yeah, except for he wasn't forming plaques.
Okay.
He wasn't forming plaques. He was simply demyelinating, repairing the demyelination area with the immune system. They've got a cell-mediated immune system, humoral system, just like we have. The cells are different. They've got Philopodia, but very strange looking blood-like material. But it's like it. But that's why we use the term analog so much, because it was different. It was different.
Can we talk a little bit about some generalities around the building in which you worked? The sort of, how many floors it was, where it was located,
Sure.
how you got there.
You want an experience of Site 4, watch the Andromeda Strain. Except for there's a little more color inside of Site 4. They've got a nice orange stripe on the wall, and they've got a red and blue stripe on the floor, which gives you general directions depending upon the floor you're on, and you can't move without getting stopped anyway. We're talking separate to the Groom facility here. I'm aware of several floors at the Groom facility, and then finally the majority of the hot stuff was taken over to Site 4. We're talking 4 basic levels. The first level, and they're coded 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, and finally where he was stored as 4.5. And that 4.5 designation was painted on the wall for him because 4 and 5 is 9. That's why, in fact, they built 9 hangars on the Galileo and Sidekick levels. The 4.1 level. The 4.2 level contained the Looking Glass, Alice's glass. In fact, outside of the door for the major facility, there's a white rabbit with a clock. A very large, it's a statue that's probably about that tall, and it's held above the doorway. It's wired above the doorway. The Looking Glass, I find out, is one of the ERBs. It's an Einstein-Rosen-bridge promoter. It uses some form of, this is found out, Jesus Christ, within the last 2 weeks. Asking the right questions there, I guess. It's composed of a spherical, spinning, arced, rectangular solid matrix of nickel, cadmium, and barium. There is a spinning disk underneath it, which is supercooled. Into this is injected into the center of these spinning, and I'm not a physicist, spinning disks, is injected an argon gas. Into that is injected some type of repulsion matter. It's a gravity repulsion matter. They are obtaining the gravity repulsion matter from the heavy materials that have been obtained from the jrods, the 115 variety material. And apparently when they bombard it with enough electromagnetism, this stuff repels gravity and it turns into some sort of exotic matter. They spin it fast enough, it opens, or they can see through it.
Whoa.
And that is, from what I understand,
Yeah, this is some very crucial information
I
you're
know. I was like,
covering right now.
shoot, can you just rewind that last part? Now I know why I
Shoot.
wanted the last chunk of this interview, like from the middle to the end of this exact video. Oh my God.
We also go verifying Bob Lazar's element 115 in it.
Right?
But the spinning part, that really hits home with.
Yes. No, there was this thing that I came across in an underground base, and the way that it was designed, and I have drawings of it, and the way it was spinning, and I was like, oh man, they've been doing this for eons. They have this down to a science. Like there's certain things that just, it'd be hard to falsify,
Oh, absolutely. All right, let's listen to that part again.
with a clock. A very large, it's a statue that's probably about that tall, and it's held above the doorway. It's wired above the doorway. The looking glass, I find out, is one of the ERBs. It's an Einstein-Rosen-bridge promoter. It uses some form of, this is found out, Jesus Christ, within the last 2 weeks. Asking the right questions there, I guess. It's composed of a spherical, spinning, arced, rectangular solid matrix of nickel, cadmium, and barium. There is a spinning disk underneath it, which is supercooled. Into this is injected into the center of these spinning, and I'm not a physicist, spinning disks, is injected an argon gas. Into that is injected some type of repulsion matter. It's a gravity repulsion matter. They are obtaining the gravity repulsion matter from the heavy materials that have been obtained from the jrods, the 115 variety material. And apparently when they bombard it with enough electromagnetism, this stuff repels gravity and it turns into some sort of exotic matter. They spin it fast enough, it opens, or they can see through it. And that is, from what I understand, the great prize in what's going on in the world right now, are those devices. Why do you think the British are running around Iraq right now looking for the climatological records that are just happen to be disappeared out of the Baghdad Museum with the rest of the cylinder seals? And you're going to see some cylinder seals today too when I show you some report.
So Dan, does that mean when they're engaging this device in Project Looking Glass?
Yes.
Is this something that they use only for the transmission of information, or can they transport a material object through time?
You know the answer to that. At least you probably heard some rumor. There have been mistakes. There were mistakes. animals were attempted to transport from one location to another, the production of 2 of the devices, and they put them in resonance or something like that. I'm not a physicist. I don't know. But I was, in fact, present during a human attempt. The human did not survive. The human was not put in there under,
I'm glad he
under
admitted
duress of any sort. It was a volunteer situation, and the human did not survive. The human did not move. The human stayed where the human was put. But the human changed, and I don't want to talk about it anymore.
This is an attempt at time travel?
It was an attempt at well, in essence, yes. It was a linear. It was a attempt to transport an individual over linear distance, which I understand is the same thing as time travel.
Whoa.
If we're talking purely from
Think about what he just said. Moving a human over a significant distance, like
from what I understand, they've only used it for information purposes. Aside from that, how they get the information out of it, no clue. I don't know.
you could tell he's left in the dark about a lot of things.
I only know of one piece of information, and that is the rush. Why the rush is underway to get Lotus done by the 2005 deadline. That in fact this
holy crap! This was before 2005.
Complying with the wishes of the committee and the wishes of the rest of the jrods and the associated brothers, to put a clamp on them so that they stop their influence within the political structures of our government, including the financial structures. That it is in fact their slowing down of the progress to stopping getting these, picking up these little gates that were put together. That would be our downfall in 2012.
Okay. Do you want to say anything further about the Stargates or their use in 2012?
Well, Bill,
He's like, no, motherfucker, I can't.
what can one do for me?
Yes,
I would be very happy and very relieved to feel as though I was responding to the elected government of the United States of America with what talents God's given me. I'm responsible to the people of the United States of America. The nature of the information to which I'm privy is sensitive enough that the full disclosure of that information would have to be done in an appropriate location and under appropriate circumstances. Certain military application information would have to be done in a closed session milieu for the national security. As I said to you at the Luxor, the Congress knows it's not in control. They know that this is a train, a wild train out of control. And they want that control back. They're not stupid. They know that there are things that are going on down the hall from them that they can't fathom. They deserve to have that back in their hands because that's what they were elected to do. And if we care at all about what's left of our Constitution, they deserve to have that in their hands. Aren't we the masters of our destiny in our country? Aren't we supposed to be? Yes, sir. Supposed to be.
Okay, yeah, let's break for a minute. And you have a question, Jordan? I want you to do it. Yeah, okay. Right. How you doing? It's cool. Good.
This is what you do with them.
I hate these lights, but I'm fine.
Just a little bit longer.
I expect, no, that's fine. I expected the largest light I would have would be a CRT. I was comfortable with that too.
I'm quite interested in the, if you could describe for me sort of what it was like when you were first introduced to jrod. You actually sort of walked in, presumably that he was in the clean sphere and you were kind of taken into that part of the facility. What was your reaction when you first saw it?
I thought it was an insect. That's fine.
Whoa, what about an insect? An insectoid?
Wellington, I went to Dover Grammar School for Boys. On the hill over Dover.
4 years.
Yeah, indeed. We were right above Dover College, and they had all the girls down at Dover College.
Right. It's a little boys' school, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Wellington. We were not allowed to communicate with the females in the village.
We had grand.
Dan was chasing tail.
I'm
Chasing
pretty
tail.
sure the insect comment had to do with something with the lighting there, but
Damn.
maybe could have been insectoids. Let's see. Take it back 30 seconds.
What was your reaction when you first saw it?
I thought it was an insect.
Oh no,
That's
something else.
This is interesting. I just did a thing about
Wellington, they
Catalina.
deserve to have that.
And these boys were taken and they were hypnosis regressed. They say basically they had been abducted like right around Catalina and taken somewhere, and they were like it wasn't a ship, it was like in a cave, it was beneath the earth, but they talked about these insectoid beings, like mantis like insectoid beings that oversaw it. Oh, you're muted.
Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you. Yeah, I've heard a few stories of insectoids over the years, and it's pretty creepy what could be laying beneath us.
Andreas talks to someone, talked to a woman. Gosh, I can't remember. I don't remember her name, but she talked to like mantis insectoid beings from the future, and it's a really good interview. You guys got to go check that out.
Yeah, that's my homework for the new year. Also, Dick Argyle, is it? He does crypto.
Yeah, the remote
viewing.
viewer. Yeah, the remote viewer. He follows me.
He's it always struck me his remote viewing of the construction of the Pyramid of Giza. He in the recording he seems to encounter and experience a mantid alien that was like somehow in control of it and like could transcend time with like detecting his presence while he was remote.
From what I gather, okay, I always say that the mantis, those type beings they're like the anesthesiologists of telepathy, like where they could stand above you, and they're so much more powerful. Where I could go out. I've said this at places. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. But you hear certain people, you hear people talk about reptilians or whatever, but from what I've gathered, these insectoid mantis type beings are like above that. Like they're more powerful than, well, at least their powers and abilities are. So they can make you like completely paralyzed. Like I said, that like, imagine like the anesthesiologist of telepathy.
Yeah,
so there's power of that. Like they could literally be there, and they can make you completely numb to certain things. Where you hear of these reptilian beings, they could shoot out some strong sexual energy, like energy gasms, and they're very telepathic. But making I just feel like they don't have that ability of making you completely numb and being able to oversee exactly what you feel. So to me, there's more power in that. And then you hear of these, like the Hopi prophecies of these ant-type beings that take humans beneath the earth before a certain cataclysmic event reset. Right. And so you tie the ant people to the mantis beings because you would think you could depict one or the other, like it's interchangeable. It'd be similar. Or I get a similar energy from it. I don't know about you.
right? I'm not sure. I don't know if that's two separate or one single, but like it could essentially with like the hive mind aspect of it, how they have like the larvae and stuff potentially, right? It could be that, and that just ties in even more to some of the depictings on Mike's stuff at Alien Carvings that seems to depict exactly that, and that the ant and the mantid were almost one. And from the testimony of people that seem to have interacted with these mantid entities telekinetically, that they seem hive mind like, or like more social than like the single mantis that are insects that we have today, if that makes sense. Like it seems like they're more on like the hive mentality of like an ant hive sort of thing, like a queen mantid essentially.
I found that interesting too about the queen, like how it lives underground, like it's subterranean. That was very profound for me.
That's a good point I didn't really think of. Oh, yeah. What lies beneath? All right. Well, I got about 5 minutes left here. We'll finish her off, but we'll listen one more time what he's saying about the insects, and then we will have to come back and do a whole another episode on this, if not a series, because
we got a timestamp like where we leave off, because I'm telling you, it gets like more lucrative and lucrative the further this goes.
Right, 52, 56 in right now.
As I said to you at the Luxor, the Congress
Luxor
knows it's not in control. They know that this is a wild train out of control. And they want that control back. They're not stupid. They know that there are things that are going on down the hall from them that they can't fathom. They deserve to have that back in their hands because that's what they were elected to do. And if we care at all about what's left of our Constitution, they deserve to have that in their hands. Aren't we the masters of our destiny in our country? Aren't we supposed to be? Yes, sir. Supposed to be.
Okay, yeah, let's break for a minute. And are you have a question? More questions, Jordan? I want you to do it. Yeah, okay. Great. You want a break? How you doing? Let's go. Let's go. Good. This is what to do with them.
I hate these lights, but I'm fine.
Just a little bit longer. That's something you need to get.
I expect, no, that's fine. I expected the largest light I would have would be a CRT. I was comfortable with that too.
I'm quite interested in if you could describe for me sort of what it was like when you were first introduced to jrod. You actually sort of walked in, presumably that he was in between sphere and you were kind of taken into that part of the facility. What was your reaction when you first saw it?
I thought it was an insect.
Sorry.
That's fine.
We'll take it.
Okay, let's take a break.
Wellington, I went to Dover Grammar School for boys.
Oh, really?
Dude, what was the line before? I thought it was an insect.
Indeed. We were right above Dover College and they had all the girls down.
Right? It was like it was edited out.
Right?
It was when they paused the recording and then just as they turned the camera back on, by the sounds of that. That's man, to be a fly on the wall, to know what he was talking about with
so we left off at 54, 56. So whenever, if we pick up, okay, we got to remember where we left off.
And we will be picking this up and doing another episode of this in 2024, maybe this first week. But on that note, thank you, Julia, for joining, and thank you everyone out there watching, and wishing everybody a blessed 2024 and new year. My dog's going crazy in the background, so any last words, sister?
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. And thank you for geeking out. I'm sorry if this bothered. No, I'm not sorry. I was going to say I'm sorry if this bothered anyone. But
Right,
I
well
really
done.
love this information, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, or at least half as much as I did, because that still would be a lot.
Right, and I know I did, and we will be finishing this. And for those that can't wait, I just posted the link in the live chat, and we will catch you all on the next one. God bless and happy 2024.